the zombie emperor in American comics. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 151 The Cruel Truth. The eldest son, Marcus, was bitten by a bat and became the first vampire, the progenitor of your vampire clan. The second son, William, was bitten by a wild wolf and became the first werewolf, the ancestor of the wolf clan. His last son embarked on a lonely journey towards eternal immortality. After recounting the origins of the two clans, Wang Yunxiao fell silent, quietly observing Selina's reaction. Elena was also silent, as if still immersed in Wang Yunxiao's story, or perhaps tempted to retort but unsure how to begin. "You mean, Michael is?" Selina asked quietly after a long pause. She didn't mention the origins of the two clans, but that didn't mean she completely believed Wang Yunxiao. She simply wanted to hear what he had to say next. "That's right. Michael is a direct descendant of Alexander Corvinus." Wang Yunxiao nodded slightly, confirming Selina's thoughts. "This means Michael's bloodline is likely a blend of both vampire and werewolf bloodlines, evolving into new species." Then, before Selina could question further, Wang Yunxiao unleashed an even more explosive hypothesis. "This?" Selina froze in her tracks, her eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Clearly, the werewolves had likely mobilized en masse to capture Michael for this very reason. If they succeeded, the consequences for the vampire clan would be dire. Growing increasingly terrified, Selina abruptly stood up, intent on returning to the vampire castle and informing her clan. "What are you going to do?" Wang Yunxiao flashed, blocking Selina's path. "Get out of the way. I have to get back as quickly as possible to inform the clan and my adoptive father," Selina said excitedly, raising her hand to push Wang Yunxiao away. "Are you really okay with helping your arch-enemy?" Wang Yunxiao suddenly demanded. "You?" Selina was about to push Wang Yunxiao's hands away when she froze in midair. She looked at Wang Yunxiao in disbelief, as if wondering if she had misheard. At the same time, a flame of anger flickered deep in her eyes. If Wang Yunxiao didn't answer well, she would be met with endless rage. "I mean, have you ever thought about how you would cope if Victor, your godfather, whom you have always respected, was the real murderer who killed your entire family?" Wang Yunxiao's tone became increasingly serious, carefully observing every change in Selina's expression. "That's impossible. Don't try to trick me." Selina was indeed completely enraged. Her hands, which had been suspended in midair, suddenly shot out, attacking Wang Yunxiao's heart and throat. The attack was a killing move, and there was really no mercy. "Calm down. If you don't believe me, you can ask Craven, he's also an insider. Or maybe Andres Terrace, that vampire historian you exiled over 300 years ago." Wang Yunxiao grabbed Selina's hands and shouted at her. Selina's reaction wasn't surprising to Wang Yunxiao, who knew full well that it would provoke a fury and hatred. To Selina, Victor wasn't just her savior, he was the only person she trusted and respected. How could she believe Wang Yunxiao's attempts to sow discord between them? Indeed, in her eyes, Wang Yunxiao was trying to sow discord between them, and how could she not be furious? However, this was exactly the effect Wang Yunxiao desired. Only in this way would Selina's impression of him be even more profound after she learned the truth. And although Selina was completely blinded by anger, given her personality, once she calmed down, no matter how much she trusted Victor, she would inevitably harbor doubts. "Let go." Selina struggled violently, but was completely unable to break free from Wang Yunxiao's grip. The rage in her eyes threatened to burst forth, consuming him completely. Okay, I'll let you go. And please calm down and think carefully about what I said. There was absolutely no reason for me to lie to you." Wang Yunxiao released Selina's hands and quickly stepped back, creating some distance between them. He looked her in the eyes and spoke seriously. "HMPH." Selina glared at Wang Yunxiao coldly, then in a few steps reached the huge floor-to-ceiling window, flung it open, and leaped without hesitation, completely oblivious to the fact that it was the hotel's top floor. "You're really jumping off a building just because you disagree with me?" Wang Yunxiao made no move to stop her. He simply stood in front of the window and watched the charming figure disappear into the night sky with a carefree expression. Selena sped back to the vampire castle without delay. In the castle's main hall, a banquet was underway to celebrate the upcoming change of power for the vampire clan. Vampires from Victor's lineage and Amelia's were present, none of them yet knowing that Amelia had been attacked and killed. Seeing Selena arrive, the vampires all stared in awe. The title Moonlight Goddess wasn't earned for nothing. She was truly the most beautiful woman in the vampire clan. Selena, however, ignored this and continued her pace through the hall, heading straight for the secret chamber where Victor and the other 3 vampire elders lay in state. Selena, an angry voice called out from behind her, but Selena remained silent, her steps unwavering. Selena, rapid footsteps followed her, and then Selena's arm was grabbed, forcibly tugged at, and she was turned around. Why did you disobey my orders? You've been gone for 3 days. What will Elder Amelia's clan think? Craven growled. As far as I know, this is still Victor's house, Selena sneered, showing no sign of politeness towards the man now the true ruler of Victor's lineage. Selena, you know I don't want to argue with you. I'm doing this for your own good. Seeing Selena's adamant attitude, Craven quickly softened his tone. Well, this guy had always been obsessed with Selena's beauty, but Selena had simply ignored him. Thank you, but you shouldn't. Think carefully about how you'll explain to Victor when he wakes up that Lucia is still alive. Selena, completely devoid of any affection for Craven, retorted bluntly. Craven froze, his first thought being that Selena knew something. Seizing Craven's moment of disbelief, Selena shoved him aside and hurried back to her room, giving him no chance to bother her again. Thanks for the guaranteed monthly pass to Lost Life. Today's 3 updates are here. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 152 Victor Awakens. Selena, wait a minute. Craven, having regained his composure, hurriedly chased after Selena again. However, he was met with a slammed door. Selena, listen to my explanation. Craven continued to ramble outside the door for a long time, but without any response from Selena, he left with a gloomy face. But what Craven didn't know was that Selena was planning to wake up Victor in advance, otherwise he would not leave even if he was beaten to death. Noticing Craven's departure, Selena quietly left the room and headed straight for the secret room where Victor was sleeping. Khan wants to see you. In the monitoring room, Selena found a random excuse and transferred the vampire in charge away. Khan was the captain of the Death Walkers and the vampire's direct superior. In the center of the chamber stood 3 mechanisms, each inscribed with the letters M, W, and A, representing the 3 vampire clan leaders, Marcus, Victor, and Amelia. Forgive me, but I truly need your guidance, Selena whispered softly as she reached the central mechanism, crouched slightly, and reached out to twist it. Click, 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 with a series of clicks, a bronze coffin inscribed with mysterious runes slowly rose. Laying the coffin flat, Selena took a deep breath before biting her wrist. Blood dripped into the special mechanism and then into Victor's mouth, awakening him. At this moment, Selena's nerves were undeniably high. What she was doing now was violating the greatest taboo of the vampire clan. Within the vampire clan, no one except the ruling elders was allowed to awaken a sleeping elder. Otherwise, anyone could awaken a dormant elder, and wouldn't that spell chaos for the vampire clan? Over the past 1,400 years, this prohibition had not been violated, especially during times of great crisis. However, any violator still faced the threat of death. Another reason for this prohibition was that the 3 elders possessed a powerful ability to transmit desired memories to the awakened elder through their own blood. This allowed the newly awakened elder to easily learn everything that had happened during the ruling elder's 1,000 years of slumber, facilitating their successful transition to power. While the blood of other vampires could also transmit memories, it was uncontrollable, transmitting only random fragments of memories and thoughts. As Selena's blood entered Victor's body, his heart began to beat again, and he slowly regained consciousness. Selena, you're crazy. Do you know what you're doing? At that moment, the door to the secret room opened again, and Craven rushed in like a madman. I know it all. Craven, I don't care how Lucian was able to return from the dead, but I know that our vampire race is now at its most perilous point in history, and I must seek Victor's guidance, Selena replied coldly, her eyes never leaving Victor's. You're crazy, you must be crazy. Craven noticed the blood on Victor's dry lips, knowing that Victor's awakening was inevitable, and he roared in despair. His ambition, Everything he had done over the years, if Victor discovered it, he would be dead without a burial place. Why didn't Amelia wake me? The hoarse, low voice exploded in their ears, revealing the voice's current anger. Victor, who had just awakened, was a living corpse, but even so, the two dared not overstep their bounds, kneeling respectfully on one knee. This wasn't just a huge disparity in strength, but also due to Victor's long-standing prestige. As Victor sat up, the blood transfusion tubes connected to his back began to pump fresh blood into his body. Blood was the source of a vampire's power, and with this constant influx, his strength would soon return to its peak. Ah, Selena, I trusted you so much, why did you blatantly violate the rules and awaken me prematurely? Victor asked expressionlessly. Well, in his current state, it was hard to tell. Without you, I'd be lost, Master. Lucian isn't dead, and he's plotting something bigger, trying to crush us in one fell swoop, Selena replied sharply. What a joke. Relying on those foolish beasts, Victor interrupted Selena rudely, his inner pride making him dismiss her words even more. Now, tell me, why do you believe Lucian is still alive? After a pause, Victor asked again in a deep voice. I've given you the evidence you need, Selena replied in a similarly grave tone. Just based on that nonsense from who knows who? Or your own thoughts? Victor shook his head in disappointment, unsatisfied with Selena's response. But I did see Lucian with my own eyes, and I even shot him. You have to believe me, Selena explained hastily. You could have reported this to Amelia first, and let her decide whether to wake me up beforehand. The ban is the ban. It's Amelia's time to rule now, not mine. Victor still couldn't accept Selena's explanation. But I can't help it. I can't find Amelia. She's as if she's disappeared. And we're in the most perilous moment. Craven is completely incapable of leading us through this crisis, Selena argued loudly, bluntly expressing her disdain for Craven. Shut up, Victor shouted, and Selena immediately stopped talking. From beginning to end, Craven remained silent, his head bowed, not even a single word of defense, even despite Selena's slander. It's not that he doesn't care, but he really doesn't have the mood at the moment. He's preoccupied with how to respond to Victor's accusations about Lucia not being dead. I love you, Selena, like my own daughter, but you leave me no choice. The ban must have a legitimate reason, and that's the only reason we can continue to thrive. Your actions are unforgivable. When Amelia arrives, the Council of Elders will jointly decide your fate. After a long silence, Victor spoke with a touch of sadness. It seemed that Victor's feelings for Selena were indeed genuine. But at the same time, he was also a cold-blooded king who never let personal feelings influence his decisions, just like when he ruthlessly executed his own daughter. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 153, Breaking into the Vampire Castle Alone. Please, give me one more chance, let me find the evidence you want, Selena pleaded softly, not just to exonerate herself, but genuinely fearing Lucian's plot would succeed. You still don't understand. I'll have Craven collect the evidence, if there's any. Victor sighed and flatly refused Selena. By leaving the matter with Craven, Victor not only tried to appease him, but also wanted to see what he would uncover. Of course, Victor would also assign other personnel to secretly investigate the matter. Why do you trust him more than me? However, Selena was completely bewildered. She felt like a child suffering a great injustice. Because he's more rational than you, and isn't swayed by emotions like you are. Okay, you can go down and await the final judgment, Victor said coldly, waving his hand. Selena remained silent, making no move to leave. At that moment, filled with grievance, Wang Yunxiao's words suddenly resurfaced in her mind, as if she had found the perfect explanation for Victor's claims of murdering her entire family. Have you never believed me from the beginning? Because, you're the one who murdered my entire family. Selena suddenly raised her head, staring intently into Victor's eyes, and demanded each word with measured precision. How dare you? Victor erupted in rage, his overwhelming pressure mercilessly bearing down on Selena, nearly suffocating her breath. Naturally, the guilt of having her truth exposed was also present. Craven, take her away and keep her under strict guard. Victor's furious roar echoed throughout the chamber. Yes, Craven dared not hesitate, quickly rising and reaching for Selena. Meanwhile, Selena had completely calmed down, her heart sinking to the bottom. Knowing Victor well, didn't his reaction clearly indicate the truth? There was no greater sorrow than a broken heart. Selena had never imagined that the person she had always trusted and respected the most would become her greatest enemy. She even forgot to resist, allowing Craven to grasp her arms. In reality, even if she truly wanted to resist, she wouldn't have had the slightest chance, as Victor was still watching closely. "Hey, men, I advise you to keep your hands off me." Suddenly, a rather cynical voice echoed in the ears of the three. "Who is it? Come out." Craven immediately looked around cautiously, but saw no one. In contrast, Victor appeared much calmer, not even raising his eyelids, appearing to be taking it all in stride. Selena, whose face was already dead and hopeless, suddenly regained a touch of life and hope, a glimmer of light flashing across her eyes. Bang! With a muffled thud, Craven was flung back like a dead dog. As the second in command of Victor's lineage, he was far inferior to Raz, who had already died at his hands. It was no wonder that Selena had never looked down on him. "You?" Selena's eyes suddenly welled up at the sight of Wang Yunxiao standing tall beside her. It was undeniable that, at her most desperate moment, Wang Yunxiao's sudden appearance was like a ray of warm sunshine, illuminating her dead heart. "Let's go." "Hey, old man, I trust you're okay with that, right?" Wang Yunxiao said softly, taking Selena's hand without hesitation. His subsequent words were naturally directed at Victor. "How dare you? What do you think this place is? A place where you can come and go as you please?" Before Victor could react, Craven, who had just stood up, leaped out. Admittedly, this guy was quite the pain. "Let them go," Victor suddenly said in a deep voice, the slap in the face coming so quickly, and with a resounding smack. The reason was simple. At the level of Victor and Wang Yunxiao, their strength could often be judged based on their aura alone, especially when Wang Yunxiao was actively projecting it. While Victor was confident in his own strength, the crux of the matter was that he hadn't fully recovered yet. If he rashly engaged Wang Yunxiao at this point, he would undoubtedly suffer. As for letting Wang Yunxiao and Selena go, it would be a complete sign of weakness. However, he also possessed a deep understanding of resilience and wouldn't put himself in harm's way for the sake of pride or face. "Let's go," Wang Yunxiao said with a calm smile, pulling Selena out of the secret room and leaving the vampire castle in a dignified manner. After tossing and turning for most of the night, as daylight approached, Wang Yunxiao took Selena back to the hotel. As a vampire, she couldn't withstand ultraviolet radiation. "Go take a shower," Wang Yunxiao said softly. Selena hesitated, but gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look and followed his instructions, clearly having misunderstood something. Wang Yunxiao gave a wry smile, but there was no need to explain. He stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, closing the curtains tightly to block out any sunlight. The room suddenly dimmed, and turning on the soft bedside lamp actually added a touch of charm to the atmosphere. But don't get me wrong, Wang Yunxiao truly had no ulterior motives. It wasn't about being beastly or worse than beastly. He'd just learned a harsh truth, and taking advantage of it now was truly inhumane. Not long after, Selena emerged, wiping her damp hair. Disappointingly, she was still dressed in her tight black leather jacket and pants, but still strikingly attractive. "Have a drink." Wang Yunxiao held up 2 tall glasses filled with red liquid and handed one to Selena. Selena took them silently, realizing immediately that the glasses weren't filled with wine, but rather fresh blood. Don't ask where Wang Yunxiao got the blood from. There are countless of these in his personal space, and they are all very fresh. "Who are you?" Selena was not polite and immediately drank the blood in the cup. Seeing Wang Yunxiao doing the same, she couldn't help but ask curiously. "Zombies. Zombies that are also immortal, and indestructible, using resentment as strength and blood as food." Wang Yunxiao did not hide anything and spoke truthfully. "Is that so? They are really similar. But I still don't quite understand what the difference is between zombies and vampires." Hearing this, Selena became more curious. "The biggest difference is that zombies are stronger," Wang Yunxiao shrugged and said bluntly. What Wang Yunxiao said was the truth, but Selena obviously didn't think so, and immediately rolled her eyes at him. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 154 Andres Terrace. Go to bed early, good night. Wang Yunxiao chatted with Selena for a long time before he stood up and said goodbye, leaving the master bedroom to her. In fact, how could Wang Yunxiao not see that Selena was just forcing a smile from beginning to end, whether she was showing curiosity or trying hard to look happy? After such a big change, the person who was once the most trusted and respected suddenly became an enemy. I believe it would be difficult for anyone to change their stance immediately. This is also the reason why Wang Yunxiao did not take action directly at that time, and he did not even try. Although that was the base camp of the vampire clan, even if he could not kill Victor who had not fully recovered, he was absolutely sure that he could leave with Selena calmly. Watching Wang Yunxiao leave, Selena opened her mouth, as if about to say something, but in the end, she kept silent, only letting out a mournful sigh. As night fell, a gentle autumn rain drizzled down from the sky, hitting the floor-to-ceiling windows, awakening Selena, whose thoughts had drifted away. Awake, the door was gently opened, and Wang Yunxiao walked in slowly with a gentle smile on his face. Not asleep, Selena's eyes still looked a little empty. What are your plans next? Wang Yunxiao asked again. I want to see Andres. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't trust you, but there are some things I need to confirm. Selena, who had replied casually, suddenly realized and hurriedly explained. It's okay, I understand. Wang Yunxiao waved his hand, indicating that he didn't care. Then let's go. Selena still felt a little awkward, so she immediately jumped out of bed and strode out, not forgetting to extend an invitation to Wang Yunxiao. At that moment, she hated being alone more than ever and needed someone by her side. Of course, Wang Yunxiao smiled as he and Selena left the hotel side by side. While it was just a simple invitation, it also meant that Selena had begun to accept him, didn't it? The two of them randomly found an SUV on the street and, with a roar of the engine, sped away, soon disappearing into the vast night. The SUV sped along, raising a cloud of dust. The late autumn weather was very dry. A few hours later, a dilapidated monastery was already in sight. Monastery, Wang Yunxiao turned his head to look at Selena. It used to be, and now it's a prison. Andres was our vampire clan's historian, deeply trusted by the elders. But one day, Victor accused his records of malicious lies, and he was exiled and imprisoned here. I personally carried out the execution, Selena explained patiently. The SUV drove a little further before suddenly being blocked by a metal gate. Strange. I don't remember such a gate here. Selena frowned, and began to get out of the car to open it. I'll do it. Wang Yunxiao stopped Selena and got out first to open the door. Creaky, the gate slowly swung open, and the SUV slowly drove in. Don't worry too much. You told me it's been over 300 years, so some changes are inevitable, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile, helping Selena open the car door. No. It shouldn't have changed like this, Selena, still frowning after exiting the SUV. Bang! Before Selena could finish her words, the SUV was knocked over with a dull thud by a towering werewolf. Luckily, the two of them reacted quickly, dodging in time and avoiding the SUV's impact. Ow! A continuous howl echoed as dozens of towering werewolves swarmed from all sides, surrounding the two. At the same moment, the ground beneath Selena's feet suddenly cracked open, catching her completely off guard. With only a cry of surprise, she fell through. Then, the ground closed again, sealing tightly. From the moment the SUV stopped in front of the gate, their every move had been meticulously monitored by the occupant of the place, Andres. Damn it. You better hope Selena's okay, Wang Yunxiao cursed softly, his eyes flashing with murderous intent as the blade of the god of war instantly appeared in his hand. Although Wang Yunxiao had been fully aware of this scenario and prepared for it, it all happened so quickly that he had no chance to intervene. He could only quickly dispatch the hideous werewolves before him. Swish, a flash of sharp blade cleaved a werewolf in two, blood and viscera scattering across the ground. Meanwhile, Wang Yunxiao had already evaded the scene, charging towards another werewolf, leaving only a trail of afterimages in the air. Ow! Amidst the shrill howls, one werewolf after another was slain on the spot, and in the blink of an eye, Wang Yunxiao had annihilated them all. Honestly, these ordinary werewolves were nothing compared to him. Crack! Wang Yunxiao's foot gave way, and the ground where Selena had been standing cracked, sending him careening down. Elsewhere, Selena had painstakingly dispatched several werewolves, bursting out of the low, narrow, and dimly lit underground corridor. In the maze of corridors, Selena encountered two more female vampires dressed in revealing attire. However, she showed no mercy, knocking them down with a few punches and kicks. Bang! Just as Selena was about to continue her search, a sharp gunshot rang out from behind her. Bullet struck the stone wall a short distance in front of her, sending shards of earth and stone scattering, and a few splinters grazed her cheek. Selena slowly turned around to see her target, Andres, standing there with his gun pointed at her. "Long time no see, Selena." Andres, confident of victory, raked Selena's curvaceous figure with impudent eyes. "Andres, your marksmanship is still as poor as ever," Selena said, her pupils narrowing slightly, but her expression remained expressionless, even offering a sneer of derision. "Really? Then why don't you try again?" Andres raised the muzzle of his gun slightly, his words threatening. "Selena, you really haven't changed at all. But now I'm not afraid of you anymore." Seeing that Selena stopped talking, Andres became even more complacent. "Oh? Really?" Suddenly, Selena's smile returned, her eyes staring straight behind Andres. "Hey, man, can you please move this thing?" The next moment, Andres felt his left shoulder sink, and at the same time, the rifle in his hands disappeared without a trace. Thank you King Wu for the guaranteed monthly ticket. Today's 3 updates are here. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 155 Ancient Secrets. "You seem to be enjoying yourself here," Selena said sarcastically as they escorted Andres to his residence, casually glancing around, rifle still clutched. "Isn't it? A vampire actually uses a werewolf as a watchdog." Wang Yunxiao glanced at Andres with a half-smile. Neither of them had restrained Andres, believing he posed no real threat. "It's a gift from a client." Although Wang Yunxiao's question was casual, Andres didn't dare to answer, as if afraid of revealing something. His words were halting. This indeed aroused Selena's suspicion. Her eyes suddenly sharpened, and she easily noticed something unusual, striding over. "What is this? You're actually doing business with the werewolves?" Selena gasped in disbelief as she pulled aside the curtain. Inside was none other than the latest weaponry currently used by the werewolves, rows of ultraviolet magazines emitting a faint blue glow. "Do you know how many of your people were killed by those wolves?" Selena's face was livid, and she looked at Andres coldly. "I had no choice. I had to survive. I made this decision the day Victor betrayed me." Andres showed no remorse, seemingly completely resigned to his fate. Victor, hearing the name, Selena inevitably lost her focus, not bothering to question Andres. "Could it be that, you know the truth?" Andres was a shrewd man. He noticed Selena's strangeness at a glance and quickly guessed something, blurting out his question. Selena remained silent, her expression growing darker. "Often, the truth hurts far more than the sun, right?" Andres twitched his lips, as if about to laugh out loud with gloating glee, but then realized what was happening and quickly restrained himself. "Believe me, I tried to stop him. Killing your entire family is truly heinous. And then he treated you like this. He's a complete beast." With his life in the hands of others, Andres decisively followed his heart, distancing himself from the crime while denouncing Victor's atrocities. "He imprisoned me here because I opposed this." Andres spoke with increasing agitation, as if he had truly suffered some grave injustice. "Shut up. Victor must have exiled you for some reason, but it definitely wasn't because of this." Wang Yunxiao coldly interrupted Andres's performance. Selena was upset, but she wasn't. How could she be fooled? "Tell me, what else do you know about him?" Wang Yunxiao pressed, staring directly into Andres's eyes. "Really nothing." Andres continued to feign composure, even picking up his glass and pouring himself a glass of red wine to mask his guilt. Bang! The next moment, the glass in Andres's hand shattered, splashing red wine all over him. It was Selena who fired the shot, and it was clearly a shot meant to vent her anger. Andres froze, staring at Selena in horror, afraid she would fire another shot and kill him. The rifle in Selena's hand was his own creation, so he knew only too well how powerful it was. "If you really don't have it, then you're of no use to me," Selena said coldly, pointing the gun at Andres. "Well, let me tell you, some of the history recorded within the clan today is true, and some is lies. Victor wasn't the first vampire. He was once just a mortal, but he was the ruler of this land. Marcus is the true ancestor of the vampire clan, the first vampire." Glancing at the gun pointed at him, Andres decisively backed down and once again followed his heart. Although Selena didn't say anything, she still glanced at Wang Yunxiao, and the meaning was self-evident. Victor committed countless evil deeds throughout his life, unwilling to die of old age. Then Marcus sought him out and transformed him into a vampire, freeing him from illness and death and granting him eternal life. But in exchange, he must gather the vampire army and help Marcus accomplish something. Andres, worthy of being the vampire's historian, was well versed in these ancient secrets. What is Marcus planning to do? Selena listened carefully, but she wasn't concerned with how Victor became a vampire. She was more concerned with Marcus's purpose. He's going to repel the first army of werewolves. These ferocious and brutal wolves were created by Marcus's brother, William. Those were unlike the modern-day Rickens. While the Rickens at least had some rationality, those were pure beasts, never to be transformed into humans. Selena had already heard Andres' words from Wang Yunxiao, so she wasn't particularly surprised. William unleashed a bloody war, and Marcus had to stop him. When Victor transformed his army into vampires, he led them in a protracted war against the werewolves. Finally, with great difficulty, William was imprisoned, a prisoner forever. Andres recounted this story as he searched through the ancient tome. Why didn't they kill him? Selena asked curiously. She believed that if William's danger was so great, killing him wouldn't be enough to end it all, so why keep him locked up? Out of fear. Marcus threatened Victor, saying that if William died, he wouldn't survive. There was also a rumor that if Marcus died, all vampires would die, but Victor didn't dare take the risk. Andres scoffed disdainfully, both at the ridiculous rumor and at Victor's willingness to believe it. Found it, finally, Andres locked onto his target, placed a thick ancient tome in front of Wang Yunxiao and Selena, and flipped to page. What is this? A vampire, Selena asked doubtfully, looking at the ancient picture on the page. Immortal. Alexander Corvinus, the common ancestor of the vampire clan and the wolf clan, Andres said as he continued to flip through the ancient book. What is this? Suddenly, Selena stopped Andres's action and turned the page back to the previous page, which was painted with a strange prison-like thing and two round accessories, one large and one small. Especially the smaller round accessory. For some reason, Selena felt that it was particularly familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had seen it before. How are you? Wang Yunxiao asked with concern, knowing what was going on. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 The Wolf Tribe Attacks. You should know that this is William's prison, and the key to open it. Andres turned his head to look at Selena, his eyes rather strange. Why should I know this? Selena felt uncomfortable being looked at, but still asked. Your father was the one who was ordered to build the prison. As Andres' voice fell, scenes of memories that she had long forgotten suddenly emerged in Selena's mind, including, of course, the prison that had not yet been built. No, suddenly, Selena screamed, holding her head tightly with both hands, her eyes full of panic and despair. The last scene in her memory was a bloody scene, with her entire family lying in a pool of blood. Selena, are you okay? Wang Yunxiao hugged Selena in his arms and asked with concern. Do you finally know why your family was murdered? Victor always believed that only the dead could keep secrets, especially since Lucian took the prison key with him when he escaped. Andres, having immediately seen through the truth, was about to burst into tirade, but stopped short at Wang Yunxiao's cold gaze. Well, Andres had indeed gotten carried away. Wang Yunxiao was already considering whether it would be necessary to spare his life later. Wang Yunxiao's original plan hadn't considered taking any action against Andres. He wanted to leave him alive for Marcus, and perhaps pass on some information to Marcus through him. Indeed, Wang Yunxiao had already begun plotting against Marcus and his brother William, but not for himself, but for Selena. Wang Yunxiao truly wanted to see how far Selena would evolve after merging the bloodline of Alexander Corvinus with the bloodlines of Marcus and William, the two original vampire and werewolf ancestors. As for whether Selena would transform into a hideous monster like Marcus, Wang Yunxiao wasn't the least bit worried. He was completely confident that her zombie bloodline was more than enough to suppress her vampire and werewolf bloodlines, ensuring Selena's optimal evolution. Where is that prison? Selena, having calmed down, suddenly asked. At this moment, her goal wasn't to imprison William, she simply wanted to remember her late father. I don't know. In this world, besides Victor, you're the only one who knows where the prison is. It's hidden deep within your memory. Andres shook his head. Seeing both Wang Yunxiao and Selena grow cold, he hurriedly explained. Selena fell silent again. She understood what Andres meant, but she simply couldn't remember it at all. I assume you also know where Alexander Corvinus is. Wang Yunxiao patted Selena's shoulder and suddenly asked Andres. Of course, as long as you spare my life, Andres nodded calmly, but also made his request. Do you think you still have room for negotiation? Selena asked coldly, her eyes gleaming with a piercing coldness. Andres was genuinely frightened, but he gritted his teeth, refusing to budge, forcing himself to meet Selena's gaze. His vacillating gaze revealed his timidity. Okay, I promise. Just as the two reached a stalemate, Wang Yunxiao suddenly interjected, agreeing without hesitation. Really? Andres confirmed with surprise. Tell me. Selena's tone, though still icy, tacitly acknowledged Wang Yunxiao's decision. You can find him at Pier 17. His current name is Lorenzo Macaro. Andres bit his tongue, choosing to trust Wang Yunxiao and Selena. Besides, he had no other choice. HMPH, Selena snorted, stalking off without a backward glance. Good luck. Wang Yunxiao uttered these profound words before departing. Who? Andres slumped to the ground, panting heavily, his face etched with lingering fear. And for some reason, Wang Yunxiao's last words kept replaying in Andres' mind, a constant feeling of dread. As the SUV sped back to the city, the atmosphere inside was particularly subdued. Selena was lost in thought, and Wang Yunxiao simply didn't want to disturb her. The two of them headed straight back to the hotel. With little time left until dawn, any matters would have to wait until the next night. Be careful. As they reached the door of the penthouse suite, Wang Yunxiao's expression suddenly changed. He grabbed Selena and vanished in an instant. Almost as soon as the two vanished, a barrage of bullets rang out, turning the ground where they stood into a hornet's nest. Bang, bang. At the same time, countless points in the ceiling collapsed, and one after another, towering werewolves leaped out, their nostrils twitching as they sprinted in one direction. Damn it. Those damned beasts again, Selena cursed angrily, her eyes blazing with murderous intent. Though she had no idea how the werewolves had found her, she was currently experiencing a low point, and it was a perfect opportunity to vent her frustration on them. Bang, bang, bang. Without waiting for Wang Yunxiao to react, Selena, twin guns in hand, darted out of the stairwell and unleashed a barrage of fire at the oncoming werewolves. The werewolf in front bore the brunt of the blow, its massive head instantly blasting away, red and white splattering across the ground. Bang, bang, bang. The gunfire intensified, and without a moment's pause, Selena charged into the werewolves, unleashing her full-throttle gunfight, slaying them one after another. At the same time, Wang Yunxiao had already flashed in front of the armed werewolves. Several sharp blades flashed, accompanied by the shattering of massive wolf heads. After that, Wang Yunxiao remained motionless, watching Selena vent her frustration, but he was also ready to rescue her at any moment. Beep, whine, beep, whine. Selena continued to fight fiercely with the werewolves, and outside the hotel, sirens wailed. This was, after all, the busiest five-star hotel in the city center. With such a serious terrorist attack, the police would naturally be dispatched immediately. Well, at this point, the vampires and werewolves hadn't yet been exposed to the public, so the police could only treat it as a terrorist attack. This was precisely why Wang Yunxiao was puzzled. Was Lucian crazy? He dared to attack here openly. Was he really not afraid of being exposed? Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 157 Selena's Decision. Neither vampires nor werewolves had ever strayed far from the city. Their life-or-death battles in the darkness naturally took place there, but the locations they chose were often more remote. An attack on a five-star hotel in the heart of the city, like the current one, was a complete novelty. Furthermore, after each battle, their bodies would generally dissolve completely under the influence of ultraviolet light or pure silver, leaving few traces. Even if some did remain, someone would clean up after them. The police are here, let's go. Wang Yunxiao flashed to Selena's side, grabbing her as she struggled with the werewolves. He also dispatched two of the attacking werewolves. He didn't kill them outright, merely knocking them unconscious and storing them in his personal storage. In the next instant, the two figures had vanished from their original location, almost instantly leaving the hotel behind. They didn't stray far, finding a deserted apartment nearby. While this wasn't a safe option, it was already daylight, and Selena couldn't move during the day. "Are you okay?" Wang Yunxiao immediately drew the curtains tightly before addressing Selena with concern. Although their journey had been brief, and Wang Yunxiao had been extremely careful, wrapping Selena in his coat, the UV rays still inevitably burned the back of her hand. "I've discovered another major difference between zombies and vampires." Selena smiled nonchalantly, even joking with Wang Yunxiao, revealing her genuinely good mood. "You're still in the mood for jokes?" "Wait a minute." Seeing Selena's burned hand, Wang Yunxiao felt deeply distressed and rushed to the living room to search. How did he know the medicine box was in the living room? With his exceptional sense of smell, it was no problem. Soon, Wang Yunxiao returned with the medicine box. Upon examining Selena's hand, he found it had returned to its smooth, white state, the burns completely healed. Wang Yunxiao was rather embarrassed. In his haste, he'd forgotten that vampires have decent self-healing abilities. If anything, just sucking more blood would be enough. Selena, however, was deeply moved and immediately embraced her. Wang Yunxiao was taken aback for a moment, then lost himself in the moment, pulling Selena tightly into his arms. Just as he was about to take another step, Selena pushed him away. Wang Yunxiao looked at Selena with resentment, his heart filled with complaints. "Sister, what are you doing? You've set me on fire, and you're just leaving me like that? Are you deliberately torturing me? You have to be so cruel." Selena couldn't help but smile, genuinely amused by Wang Yunxiao's expression. "Well, let's see what the werewolves are up to first." This left Wang Yunxiao speechless. He immediately released the two werewolves from his personal space, trying to distract Selena. However, the effect was indeed quite good. Selena immediately suppressed her smile and stared at the two still unconscious werewolves with a burning gaze. "Pa! Pa!" Wang Yunxiao was not polite either. He stepped forward and slapped one of the werewolves twice, waking one of them up very roughly. "Awoo!" The awakened werewolf was about to bar his teeth, but was met with an even more brutal blow from Wang Yunxiao, and immediately stifled all his howls. "Tell me, why did you attack us?" Wang Yunxiao asked coldly. The werewolf was also very stubborn. He immediately turned his head away and ignored him. Pa. Wang Yunxiao would not tolerate him and slapped him again. The pain in his face was secondary. This was a naked insult. However, this still could not make the werewolf surrender. He remained silent, and his eyes were filled with cruelty and madness. "Well, it seems I really can't get anything out of you." Wang Yunxiao didn't bother anymore. The blade of the god of war plunged deeply into his bloody mouth, temporarily preventing him from dying and unable to even utter a cry of pain. Meanwhile, another werewolf awoke. The first thing he saw was the miserable state of his fellow werewolf, and he was terrified. "What about you? Are you going to be like him?" Wang Yunxiao's chilling words echoed in the werewolf's ears. "Ouch!" The werewolf shook his head repeatedly in fear, letting out a low whimper. It seemed that not all werewolves were afraid of death. "Speak human." Wang Yunxiao was speechless, his eyes turning even colder as he looked at the werewolf. "It's Lucian." The werewolf instantly transformed back into human form and nakedly told him everything he knew. "Thank you." After listening to the werewolf's story, Wang Yunxiao waved and sent him on his way. This also made him realize that everything was all because of him. The werewolves Lucian sent to kill Amelia were completely wiped out, including his most capable assistant. There was no news of his target, Amelia, either. This angered him but also made him take the matter very seriously. After a secret meeting with Craven, who had colluded with him, and after Wang Yunxiao had left a deep impression on him, Lucian naturally focused his suspicion on Wang Yunxiao, leading to this attack. Of course, Selena was also involved. Lucian also wanted to seize the opportunity to capture Selena, a lonely ghost who had betrayed the entire vampire community, as the best replacement for Amelia. After all, even among the werewolves, Selena, the most beautiful vampire, was well known. Furthermore, Wang Yunxiao and Selena learned from the werewolf that Michael was indeed not dead, but had been fully transformed into a werewolf and was currently imprisoned in the werewolf base. Lucian only needed to wait for Selena's capture so he could begin his final plan. "What do you want to do?" Wang Yunxiao asked softly after a long silence. "We must stop Lucian." Selena's response was resolute, without a trace of hesitation. Although Selena had become a traitor to the entire vampire clan, Her long-standing habits naturally made her consider matters from their perspective. Furthermore, her status as a vampire was unchangeable. If possible, Michael must also be eliminated. He's the biggest troublemaker, Selena added after a moment's thought. Due to Wang Yunxiao's intervention, Selena and Michael had barely interacted, and naturally, there was no friendship to speak of. And as a member of the Death Walker, she's never been a kind person. Thanks to Xian, Snail, can you still live without a heartbeat, and act for your long silent guaranteed monthly votes. Today's 3 updates are here. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 158 The End of the Road. The Dark Sewers were the Wolf Tribe's headquarters. Honestly, compared to the vampires, the Wolf Tribe was in a far more dire state. Inside a shabby laboratory, well equipped, Michael was tightly bound, even his mouth gagged. His head felt groggy, and everything seemed to double. Don't worry, you just had an injection of the enzyme that stops your transformation. This is normal and will be gone in a moment, Lucian said calmly from across from Michael. Meanwhile, another wolf man approached with an empty syringe and lifted Michael's arm, seemingly preparing to draw some blood. However, the moment the needle touched Michael's arm, he struggled violently. Bang! The wolf man accidentally dropped the syringe, shattering it to the ground. The wolf man wasn't going to let Michael off easy. He raised his hand and slapped him hard across the face, causing his head to tilt. Enough, Lucian shouted, and the wolf man finally stopped. Go ask, have you found any news about those 2 yet? Lucian waved the wolf man away again. I really apologize. He needs to learn some good manners. By the way, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Lucian, Lucian said gently, picking up an empty syringe. Let me go. I want to go back. Michael, however, showed no appreciation and spoke haltingly. You can't go back. You can't go anywhere. Believe it or not, if you step out now, a horde of vampires will find you and kill you without hesitation, just because you're one of us. Michael spoke as he inserted a needle into Michael's arm and slowly drew out a tube of bright red blood. Why did it have to be me? Michael roared in pain. He couldn't understand why, out of all the people, the Wolf Clan had chosen him. To end this war that has lasted for over 1,000 years, Lucian's eyes flashed with an inexplicable light, as if he could already see the vampires, and even the human race, prostrating themselves at his feet. That's your war, not mine. Michael's deep roar echoed throughout the laboratory. My war, Lucian murmured softly, his thoughts returning to that night, a night he would never forget. The woman he loved most, burned to ashes before him by the scorching sun. A guest has arrived, the wolf man returned, drawing Lucian from his painful memories. Victor's awake. What should we do? No one can defeat him. Never. Before Lucian could respond, a disheveled Craven rushed in, his expression filled with despair and anxiety. It turned out that during the time Wang Yunxiao had taken Selena away from the vampire castle, quite a bit had happened to the vampires. The Death Walkers raided a key wolf stronghold and even captured Singer, a key figure and Lucian's most trusted scientist. From his words, Vic confirmed Lucian's ambitions and schemes. This naturally included Craven and Lucian's collusion. Had Craven not sensed the situation and used Eric as cover, he might not have escaped. Now wanted by the entire vampire community, his only hope was his ally, Lucian. Calm down, my friend. The key to victory lies within our grasp. We will soon achieve lasting peace. Lucian, unfazed, confidently outlined a grand blueprint for Craven. Boom. However, as if even the heavens were displeased with Lucian's behavior, a massive explosion suddenly erupted, shattering his good mood. Da-da-da, followed by a barrage of gunfire. Quick! Close the door. We must stop them. Frenzied cries mingled in the background. Boss, this is bad. The vampires are here, soon. A werewolf came running to report. His panicked expression made it clear the situation was dire. What should we do? Victor's here, we'll all be killed. Craven paced anxiously, like an ant on a hot pan. It wasn't surprising he reacted this way. Victor's influence was simply too great. Shut up. It's because of you that Victor was able to find this place so easily, Lucian shouted, instantly guessing the truth. You're saying Victor let me escape on purpose? Craven wasn't exactly stupid, he quickly figured out the whole story. Tell everyone, no matter what, we must stop those vampires. Buy me at least 10 minutes, Lucian, not bothering to answer Craven, simply gave the werewolf a death order. Yes, the werewolf's expression froze, and he obeyed without hesitation. Boom boom boom. Da da da. The exchange of fire outside intensified, and Lucian sprang into action. Disregarding any safety considerations, he injected Michael's blood into himself. Currently, the idea of using Michael's bloodline to perfectly fuse vampire bloodlines hasn't been fully successful, at least not on live subjects, and no one knows the risks involved. Lucian's actions were undoubtedly risky, but given the current urgency, he had no choice but to fight tooth and nail. "What are you doing? Find a solution," Craven, bewildered, shouted anxiously, completely oblivious to the fact that this was their territory. "Yes, we really don't have much time left, so you'll have to be sacrificed." Lucian's face lit up with a sinister smile, advancing step by step towards Craven. "What are you doing?" Craven sensed something was wrong and retreated in panic. But the place was so small, where could he retreat to? "It's nothing, I just need you to donate some blood." As soon as the voice fell, Lucian suddenly rushed out and rushed straight to Craven. Craven had no way to retreat, and it's not that he didn't resist, but the gap between the two was too big, and he was easily restrained by Lucian. "Roar!" Lucian let out an excited low roar, leaned over and bit Craven. However, at this critical moment, Wang Yunxiao's figure suddenly appeared beside the two of them, accompanied by a muffled bang, and the unprepared Lucian was smashed out like a cannonball. Wang Yunxiao also did not stop, and continued to chase Lucian. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 159, Total Annihilation. It's you. How could it be you? Craven, having narrowly escaped death, showed no trace of joy on his face. Instead, he became even more terrified. Bang! Craven's response was a bullet barreling towards him, poised to hit his head. Unfortunately, the bullet wasn't a UV bullet specifically designed to kill vampires, and with their powerful vitality, it couldn't kill him. Thump, thump, thump. With a sound of crisp footsteps, Selena emerged from the shadows, her face expressionless, her eyes utterly cold. "Let me go, Selena, for the sake of how much I loved you," Craven pleaded, not even bothering to tend to the wound on his head. Selena's expression grew even colder, her eyes gleaming with a terrifying murderous intent. It would have been better if Craven hadn't said that, but now it clearly brought back unpleasant memories. Well, Wang Yunxiao must have gone after Lucian and wasn't here now. Otherwise, he would have hacked Craven to pieces without Selena even having to do anything. "Don't come over here. Selena, don't push me." Seeing this, even the dumbest Craven realized he'd said the wrong thing, and quickly changed his expression. However, just looking at Selena's gun, slightly pointed at him, it was clear that no matter what Craven did, he was doomed. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire rang out, so close it seemed to be right next to their ears, and more bullets were fired towards them. Selena's expression changed slightly, and she dodged backward, hiding behind a large piece of equipment. This gave Craven a chance to breathe. Craven was like a mad dog cornered, his ferocity fully unleashed. Braving the hail of bullets, he set his sights on a single direction and ran for his life. The whole Lucian had smashed. Okay, calling him a mad dog was a bit of an exaggeration. After all, a mad dog would bite when cornered, and he. But somehow, Craven escaped. Whether he could ultimately escape, whether he'd run into Wang Yunxiao or Lucian, or whether they'd easily dispatch him, all depended on his luck. By comparison, the one suffering the most was not Claire, but Michael, who was still bound. He should have been the protagonist of this world, but because of the emergence of Wang Yunxiao, the biggest uncertainty, he'd already been shot to death. Even if he wasn't dead yet, he soon would be. Is he Michael? The next moment, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the lab, accompanied by a question. Yes, Captain, someone replied immediately. The question was indeed from the Death Walker's captain and Victor's most trusted subordinate, Khan. Go after those traitors first, I'll take care of him. With Khan's command, the heavy footsteps quickly faded. However, Khan, for some unknown reason, went on to check on Michael, even though a few shots were enough. Perhaps it was curiosity, knowing Michael's identity, he wanted to see if his defense was any different. Roar! Unexpectedly, Michael, already near death, suddenly leaped up and bit Khan's outstretched hand. Damn it! I'm going to kill you. Feeling the blood draining from his body, Khan flew into a rage. He raised his hand and punched Michael hard on the head, knocking him unconscious before he could even utter a single grunt. But, could Michael really die so easily? Ouch! Amidst a shrill wolf howl, Lucian transformed into a towering, powerful werewolf, his fur as spiky as steel needles, a gleaming black, a truly formidable presence. Truly worthy of being the first werewolf to possess a conscious mind. Not far from Lucian, Wang Yunxiao stood tall, his sharp zombie fangs bared, his emerald green eyes adorned with sturdy black hair, his presence no less imposing. Wang Yunxiao didn't bring out the blade of the god of war, not only because it was battered to the point of barely withstanding the intense battle, but also because it couldn't possibly inflict any substantial damage on Lucian on its current state. Well, as Wang Yunxiao advanced, his opponents grew stronger, and the blade of the god of war was already failing. It seemed he'd need to reforge it once he returned to the Marvel Universe. Ouch! With a long howl, Lucian instantly charged in front of Wang Yunxiao, his sharp wolf claws piercing the air as they struck directly at his heart. Wang Yunxiao met his blow with a fist, also creating a sonic boom. He struck first, colliding heavily with the wolf claw. Bang! A dull thud echoed. Neither of them retreated a single step, but the ground beneath them had already crumbled, sending debris flying everywhere. Ouch! Roar! The aura surrounding the two grew even stronger, each exerting their strength and speed to the utmost. Their forearms, leaving trails of afterimages, attacked each other like a whirlwind. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, their frenzied attacks continued, showing no sign of stopping, only growing more ferocious. At this moment, their eyes were completely blinded by everything but each other, as if they were the only ones left in the world. Even the utterly distraught Craven, quietly fleeing not far from them, went unnoticed by either of them. It wasn't that they hadn't noticed, but they simply couldn't bear to pay attention, or perhaps neither dared to lose their focus for even a moment. In a life-or-death struggle at their level, even a moment's weakness could cost lives. And yet, the next moment, both retreated in unison, casting cold glances in the direction of Craven's flight. Thump, 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 a cacophony of rapid footsteps echoed as countless Death Walkers pursued them, catching sight of the two men. But before they could raise their rifles, two figures pounced upon them like hungry tigers on sheep. Da, 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 amidst the chaotic roar of gunfire, one Death Walker after another was tragically killed. Their bullets posed no threat to the two men, practically indiscriminate fire. There was no way. Though the Death Walkers were the most elite vampire warriors, they were no match for the two. In just a few minutes, the Death Walkers were completely destroyed. Only a handful, sensing the danger, managed to escape, surviving by sheer luck. However, this battle undoubtedly left a profound psychological scar on them, leaving them uncertain whether they would ever regain the courage to fight again. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 160 Hybrid Monster. Come out. After dispatching Michael, Khan immediately fixed his gaze on the massive device, a complex glint flickering in his eyes. Khan, is this really necessary? Amidst the sparse, quiet sounds, Selena slowly emerged from behind the massive device, her gaze towards Khan also shimmering with complexities. You've betrayed your tribe, Khan, suppressing the last vestiges of his resentment, declared coldly. Victor deceived me, he murdered my entire family, Selena growled, a touch of emotion, the complexities in her eyes melting into deep hatred. No matter what, he's an elder of our tribe, Khan said indifferently. He was Victor's most loyal supporter, someone who would never betray him, even at the cost of his own life. Selena knew this truth, and without further ado, she raised her hand and fired at Khan, leaping to the side. Paw! The moment Selena leaped, a tiny hole appeared in the ground where she had stood. More importantly, a faint blue glow emanated from within. Yes, it was an ultraviolet bullet. The Death Walkers, worthy of being the vampire clan's most elite warriors, had developed the ultraviolet bullet in just a few days, precisely for Selena. Not only ultraviolet bullets, but also silver mercury bullets had become standard equipment for the Death Walkers. Otherwise, how could they have succeeded so easily in this attack on the Wolf Clan's base camp? However, Khan could never have imagined that his own Death Walkers had already been completely annihilated by the combined forces of Wang Yunxiao and Lucian. Bang, 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 Selena and Khan exchanged fierce gunfire, but as time went on, Selena was clearly losing ground. This was due not only to the vast disparity in weaponry, but also to the inherent difference in their strength. After all, Khan was the captain of the Death Walkers, meaning he was also Selena's former captain. Without some strength, how could he possibly hold down the fiercest of the vampire clan's elite warriors? Roar! With a particularly eerie roar, Michael, long dead, suddenly stood up. By this point, he had transformed into a dark, hideous monster, devoid of any vampire grace or even the ferocity of a werewolf. All that was left was 3 words, utterly ugly. Bang, bang, bang. Khan didn't have time to consider the reasoning, as he instinctively swung his gun and unleashed a barrage of fire at Michael. Some of the bullets had been replaced with mercury bullets at some point. But neither the ultraviolet bullets nor the mercury bullets had any restraining effect on Michael, who showed no sign of dodging. Furthermore, Michael's healing abilities now far surpassed those of vampires or werewolves. In a single breath, he expelled the bullet from his body and rapidly healed his wound. Roar! Michael roared frantically, leaping in front of Khan and sending him flying. Damn it! What kind of monster is this? Khan cursed under his breath as he quickly scrambled to his feet. Unfortunately, he was no match for Michael, who was on him again in an instant. Swish, 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 Michael's dark claws whistled through the air, slashing at Khan like a storm. At first, Khan managed to hold his ground, but soon, he could no longer withstand the blows and was torn in 2 by Michael. Well, it was truly tragic that the captain of the Death Walkers should die in such a miserable way. It's unclear if today is the Death Walkers' calamity. Not only was the entire army wiped out, but even the captain was dead. However, this also demonstrates Michael's current strength. He's likely even comparable to the world's top fighters, like Lucian. Roar! Michael roared, glancing around as if searching for something. However, there was no one else in the lab. Selena had already fled this dangerous place the moment Michael had knocked Khan away. Who knows if Michael, transformed into this half-vampire, half-werewolf hybrid, is friend or foe. Perhaps Selena's strength still lags far behind that of the world's most powerful, but she's experienced countless life and death battles, and her vision is impeccable. Furthermore, Michael had sent Khan flying with a single blow, and she was no match for him. The gap between them was obvious. Roar! Michael roared angrily, charging in one direction. That was the direction Selena had fled, and also the direction Wang Yunxiao and Lucian were heading. After dispatching the Death Walkers, Wang Yunxiao and Lucian simultaneously charged at each other, engaging in a fierce battle. Bang, bang, bang! Amidst the muffled roars, the ferocity of their clash intensified. Perhaps the recent slaughter of the Death Walkers had unleashed a ferocity deep within them. Honestly, Wang Yunxiao had never experienced such a thrilling battle before, and he hadn't expected Lucian's strength to be so immense. This was already stronger than Amelia, also considered one of the world's most powerful fighters. And that was after Amelia's use of mystical techniques, and her endurance was far greater. But was this due to Michael's bloodline? And if Lucian were to be fused with vampire blood, how much more powerful would his power skyrocket? At that moment, Wang Yunxiao completely swallowed up the last vestiges of contempt he had harbored. It was truly a piece of cake for him to dispatch Amelia. Even so, Wang Yunxiao remained confident of victory, convinced that he, and only he, would ultimately triumph. However, he had to be even more cautious when facing Marcus. He had no idea if the original plot had been severely disrupted by him, and if he hadn't even been awakened, he'd have to completely rethink his plans. Unbeknownst to Wang Yunxiao, Marcus had already been awakened, and just as in the original plot, by Singer's werewolf blood. Even less known to Wang Yunxiao was that Michael wasn't dead either. Not only had he transformed into a hideous hybrid monster, he was even heading their way. Thanks to Cheyenne 532 and King Wu for their guaranteed monthly passes. 3 updates are up today. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 161, Big Melee. Tap, 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 the sound of hurried footsteps echoed, and Wang Yunxiao and Lucian, still engaged in a fierce battle, both sensed Selena's arrival. Seeing Selena's serious expression, Wang Yunxiao wanted to approach and inquire about the situation, but Lucian didn't give him the chance. Be careful. Michael's changing. Selena stopped a short distance away and shouted a warning. Though her words were simple, she believed Wang Yunxiao understood. A flicker of surprise flashed in Wang Yunxiao's eyes. He understood Selena's meaning. He couldn't help but marvel at the powerful inertia of history. Even after he had so severely disrupted the plot, Michael still fell back into his old hybrid ways. Meanwhile, Selena, with a clear understanding of the situation between the two, retreated to a distant, unnoticeable corner after she finished speaking, so as not to become a burden to Wang Yunxiao. As for stepping forward to help, Selena hadn't considered it. She was quite self-aware. She couldn't even see the other two's movements, so how could she possibly intervene in their fight? Roar! Selena had barely ducked when a roar of rage echoed clearly from her direction. Wang Yunxiao and Lucian's expressions froze, no longer the indifference they had shown upon noticing Kraven or Selena. From that roar alone, they could already tell the newcomer was incredibly powerful, quite possibly even as strong as they were. The next moment, a nimble black figure suddenly leaped out. Upon catching sight of the two, its fury ignited. Without hesitation, it lunged at them, two sharp, black-haired claws striking simultaneously. Lucian was the culprit who had left him in this horrible state, and Michael's hatred for him was undeniable. And as for Wang Yunxiao, he felt that if he hadn't abandoned him that day, how could he have ended up in this state? Therefore, his hatred for Wang Yunxiao was no less than Lucian's. Bang! Bang! The two men counterattacked simultaneously, their combined power instantly sending Michael flying. Bang! However, neither of them pressed their advantage, instead attacking each other simultaneously, clearly driven by the same motive. Roar! Michael roared angrily, rising to his feet and charging at the two men again without hesitation. However, this time, he had learned his lesson and didn't attack both simultaneously, instead targeting Wang Yunxiao alone. Did this indicate that his hatred for Wang Yunxiao was even deeper? Wang Yunxiao's pupils shrank slightly, and without the slightest hesitation, he instantly vanished from the spot, dodging the two men's attacks. Well, while he was confident he could withstand their combined attack, there was no need. Judging from the current situation, the chaotic battle between the three of them had only just begun, and it was far from a fight to the death. Furthermore, this was the first time Wang Yunxiao had used Flash in their intense battle with Lucian. It wasn't that he disdained it or kept it as a trump card, but in a fight at their level, Flash was truly ineffective, and Lucian couldn't possibly be defeated by it. However, when used for evasion, as he had just done, it was still extremely effective. With Wang Yunxiao no longer a target, Michael, without a second thought, swung his arm towards Lucian, like a complete madman, or perhaps a troublemaker. Damn it! Lucian's face darkened, and he cursed under his breath, but his movements didn't slow at all. Swinging his sharp wolf claws back in a whistling sound that pierced the air. Clang! The sound was like metal clashing, and sparks flew between their claws. However, before either could react, Wang Yunxiao suddenly appeared, punching Michael in the head. Well, this guy was a man who would never let a flaw go unpunished. Unfortunately, Lucian showed no cooperation from Wang Yunxiao. One moment he was battling Michael to the death, and the next, he joined forces with the other to attack Wang Yunxiao. As for Michael, needless to say, he immediately retaliated. Wang Yunxiao was furious, but he didn't want to passively deal with a combined attack from both sides, so he dodged again. The next moment, the two of them engaged in a relentless battle. When Wang Yunxiao reappeared, he switched his target to Lucian, launching a whip kick straight into his left shoulder. As we all know, he was a man who would never let go of any flaws. Michael, the troublemaker, was also cooperative, showing no intention of changing his target. He and Wang Yunxiao attacked Lucian from both sides. Asshole! This time, it was Lucian's turn to rage, but he had no way to vent his anger, and lacked Wang Yunxiao's ability to dodge, so he could only withstand the combined attack. Bang! Bang! Two muffled thuds echoed almost simultaneously, Lucian's body trembling violently and causing a large section of the ground to collapse under his feet. However, this fellow was truly formidable. Not only did he withstand the combined attack of the two, but he instantly launched a counterattack, striking Michael with his sharp wolf claws. It seemed he was a man who would never let a flaw slip. Wang Yunxiao was also eager to cooperate, simultaneously striking Michael with a punch. Bang! Bang! The unfortunate Michael was once again sent flying. But in the blink of an eye, he charged back even more fiercely. Thus, a strange phenomenon emerged in the three-man melee. Most of the time, Wang Yunxiao was either the initiator or the cooperator attacking another. It was rare for him to be attacked by two people at once. The few times that happened were naturally the result of Michael's sudden rage, but it was ineffective. Michael was one thing, a troublemaker, but with Lucian's combat experience, how could he not see that? Although he was very unhappy and knew that if he continued like this, they would be the only ones who would suffer in the end, he was really powerless to change it. The reason was simple: Wang Yunxiao's flash was really too abnormal in such a chaotic situation. However, Both Lucian and Michael were monsters with thick skin and extremely abnormal self-healing abilities. Although Wang Yunxiao had a slight advantage, if he wanted to completely eliminate the two of them, even if he wanted to eliminate one of them first, it would definitely not be done in a short time. Roar, and just as the three of them were fighting fiercely, suddenly another sharp and long howl sounded from a distance, getting closer and closer. The long howl was filled with endless anger, showing how angry the owner of the voice was. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 162 Michael is out. Whoosh, a sharp gust of wind roared as Victor suddenly appeared not far from the three engaged in the melee. He had reason to be furious. He had witnessed the near annihilation of his most elite Deathwalkers, even when he had every confidence in his victory. How could he not be furious? After a brief observation of the three-man battle, Victor plunged directly into the fray, aiming directly at Lucian. This was not surprising, regardless of the deep hatred between the two or the millennial-long rivalry between their clans, he would only target Lucian. Lucian's luck was truly unfortunate. Already under attack from Wang Yunxiao and Michael, Victor suddenly appeared, sending him flying, offering no resistance at all. However, before Victor could capitalize on his victory, Michael, once again demonstrating his troublemaker nature, struck Victor with a claw. A glint flashed in Wang Yunxiao's eyes, and he immediately redirected his fist, aimed at Michael, towards Victor. Victor, still unsure of what was happening, hastily faced the ferocious attacks of the two, following Lucian's lead and being instantly sent flying. Only Wang Yunxiao and Michael remained, and without hesitation, they attacked each other. Victor, Lucian, standing up, chose not to rejoin the fray, charging directly at Victor, who bore the grudge of murdering his wife. Lucian, Victor did the same, meeting Lucian without hesitation. Seeing this, Wang Yunxiao focused his attention on fighting Michael. This situation was exactly as he had expected, and it was exactly what he had hoped for. During the previous three-way melee, he had clearly determined that compared to the seasoned Lucian, the still inexperienced Michael would be much easier to deal with. As a hybrid of vampire and werewolf, Michael's potential was undeniable. Given enough time to grow, his future power would be limitless. But right now, he was still quite immature, like a beast relying solely on his body. Bang! Easily dodging Michael's ferocious claw, Wang Yunxiao raised his foot and delivered a powerful kick to his chest, sending him flying. Wang Yunxiao didn't rush to pursue Michael, instead taking a moment to watch the battle between Lucian and Victor. At that moment, Lucian was more like a mad beast, using all his strength, ignoring the incoming attacks and attacking Victor with all his might. He seemed unconcerned about dragging Victor down with him. Victor's attacks were equally fierce, though calmer than Lucian's, showing no intention of dying alongside him. However, the next moment, a strange entity intruded into their battle. Well, this guy was indeed a troublemaker. What trouble? Wang Yunxiao muttered, no longer observing the show from the sidelines, but joining the fray. Suddenly, the already chaotic three-way battle morphed into a four-way brawl, leaving Selena dazzled. As time went on, Wang Yunxiao, Lucian, and Victor all, intentionally or unintentionally, paid special attention to Michael. Perhaps it was because this troublemaker's behavior was truly annoying, or perhaps they were all looking to pick on the weak. The result was obvious: Michael was the first to show signs of weakness. His situation became increasingly difficult, and his attacks became increasingly powerless. Roar! Michael roared furiously. Though frantic, he was no fool. He naturally sensed the situation was unfavorable. Even his mind, once swamped by rage and madness, regained some of its composure. But it was too late. Puff! Victor's claws ruthlessly sliced open Michael's chest, sending blood splattering, staining his luxurious tuxedo red. Well, this guy was just a shy, never-ending show of elegance. He was a complete stuntman. Roar! Michael let out a painful wail. If he hadn't dodged in time, his heart would have been pierced. Bang! With a dull thud, Lucian leaped high and delivered a flying kick to Michael's unsightly head, sending him flying backwards. Yet, for some reason, Michael's kick felt strangely like an attempt to rescue Michael. Otherwise, simply pinning him to the spot would allow Wang Yunxiao, who followed, to finish him off in countless ways. Victor was aware of this, but he didn't dwell on it. He vented his frustration in the most direct way possible, his blood-soaked claws clawing at Lucian's heart. Die! Lucian, unwilling to be outdone, launched an even more ferocious counterattack, completely ignoring Victor's incoming claws. Putting aside this mortal enemy, Lucian's kick that sent Michael flying surprised Wang Yunxiao and disrupted his subsequent finishing blow. However, his second reaction was incredibly fast, and he vanished from his original position in a flash, suddenly launching a flash. When he reappeared, he was hovering directly above the flying Michael. Bang! He stomped down with all his might, landing firmly on Michael's chest and abdomen. He landed heavily on the ground, curling up like a shrimp, and a huge crater was created in the ground. Strangely, why did this scene feel so familiar? It seemed like Michael was the target, and the setting had shifted from a train compartment to a sewer. Well, that wasn't surprising. Wang Yunxiao always preferred simple, brute force, using whatever came his way. Bang! With a muffled thud, Wang Yunxiao's full-strength punch slammed into Michael's head, knocking him unconscious before he could even utter a sound. The next moment, he was quickly stored in Wang Yunxiao's personal space. The figure flashed again, and Wang Yunxiao joined the battle between Michael and Victor without hesitation. This time, his purpose was very clear, which was to unite with one of them and get rid of the other one first. If Michael was present, Wang Yunxiao would certainly not make such a choice, which was also the main reason why he guided the two to get rid of Michael first. Yes, although there were various reasons for Michael's elimination first, a large part of the credit was due to Wang Yunxiao. This is a naked conspiracy. As for whether Lucian and Victor would join forces to kick Wang Yunxiao out first, there is not the slightest possibility. Just looking at the postures of the two who are eager to grind each other into ashes, it is not difficult to see. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, Revenge. Why did Wang Yunxiao choose Lucian as his target? The reason was simple. Besides being significantly stronger than Victor, which would save him some trouble later on, he naturally didn't want to leave himself with a more formidable foe. He also wanted to leave Victor to Selena, allowing her to avenge his family. However, it remained unclear whether Victor, upon learning of Wang Yunxiao's intentions, would join forces with him to attack Lucian. The ensuing battle unfolded as Wang Yunxiao had anticipated. While Lucian was immensely powerful, he was no match for their combined strength. Within mere minutes, he was completely on the defensive. Let's die together, cornered, Lucian desperately rushed towards Victor, willing him to tear him apart even if his claws pierced his chest. Get out of here. You filthy beast, Victor shouted angrily, but a hint of fear was also evident in his tone. Well, this is a truly cornered mad dog, and it will bite. Seeing Lucian's claws locked firmly on Victor's shoulders, ready to rip him in two, Wang Yunxiao's powerful punch landed with lightning speed. With a muffled bang, Lucian was sent flying. Even so, a large piece of flesh was torn off Victor's shoulders, and the white bones were clearly visible amidst the bloody mess. Victor, I'll wait for you in hell, Lucian roared at the top of his lungs, not even glancing at Wang Yunxiao who had instantly lunged at him. From beginning to end, his crazed and resentful gaze never left Victor. Bang! Another heavy punch landed, and Lucian followed Michael's footsteps, first falling unconscious and then being taken into Wang Yunxiao's personal space. Now, only you are left. Wang Yunxiao glanced at Victor with a half-smile, slowly approaching him, a cat-and-mouse game. Victor's face was gloomy. As one of the three great elders of the vampire clan, and the strongest of them all, even Marcus, the ancestor of the vampire clan, had to retreat from him. How could he have endured such an insult? However, the situation was truly overwhelming. Victor had never imagined that Lucian's strength would soar to such an extent. Indeed, Victor was astonished by Lucian's strength. Lucian's madness wasn't surprising to Victor at all, and he had even prepared for it. However, he had never imagined that this beast, whom he had always looked down upon, would be so powerful, even surpassing him by a wide margin. Who are you, anyway? Are you a mutant bastard, too? I'm genuinely curious, what kind of bastard are you? Victor refused to give up, stalling for time while simultaneously trying to provoke Wang Yunxiao. His plan was sound. No matter which outcome he achieved, it would be a significant advantage. Delaying meant buying himself time to recover, provoke Wang Yunxiao, causing him to lose his mind, which was exactly what Victor desired. He was simply delusional. Putting aside the question of whether Wang Yunxiao would be easily provoked, even if he were, would he necessarily lose his mind? Even if he did, would he still be a match for him? Clearly, he still didn't understand the difference between them. Wang Yunxiao was quite the villain, playing along, acting like he was blinded by rage. His pace quickened, and he lunged at Victor, swinging his fist. A flicker of joy flashed across Victor's eyes. Confident in his strategy, he even ignored his own injuries and launched a reckless counterattack. But not long into the fierce battle, Victor realized something was amiss. It was completely different from what he'd expected. He was the one ultimately in a passive position. As time went on, this passive position grew more severe. Victor tried desperately to change this passive position, even at the cost of something. Unfortunately, he felt like he was trapped in an invisible quagmire, unable to break free no matter how hard he struggled. Wang Yunxiao naturally noticed Victor's anomaly and struggle, but the initiative was completely in his hands, allowing him to do whatever he wanted. It was truly tragic. Victor, once a vampire emperor, had fallen to this state. It was worse than even killing him. Bang! Finally, tired of playing around, Wang Yunxiao seized an opportunity and delivered a powerful kick to Victor's chest, sending him flying like a cannonball. Swish! A flash of sharp blade shattered half of Victor's head, ending his sinister life, a fate identical to his infamous novel. The one who struck was, of course, Selena, who had been preparing for the attack. Selena silently gazed upon Victor's gruesome death, her emotions swirling in confusion. Upon learning the brutal truth, Selena, initially unable to accept it and completely bewildered, quickly resolved to avenge her family's death. Even in her dreams, Selena yearned for this day to arrive sooner rather than later, but she never imagined it would arrive so soon. Meanwhile, having actually killed Victor herself, Selena felt an inexplicable sense of emptiness. In fact, most people who have avenged their great hatred will have this feeling. It's okay, you still have me. Wang Yunxiao came behind Selena at some point, hugged her tightly in his arms, and whispered softly in her ear. "Yes, I know," Selena responded softly, leaning weakly in Wang Yunxiao's arms. At this moment, she was like a helpless little girl, and there was no trace of the killing decisiveness of the Deathwalker. "Let's go back." This made Wang Yunxiao heartbroken, and he just held Selena in his arms and strode into the distance. From beginning to end, Wang Yunxiao never looked at Victor's body even once, and he didn't feel sad about his death at all. After all, whether it was Michael or Lucian, he was prepared for Selena, and with Selena's personality, she would never suck Victor's blood. No matter what, Victor was once the only person Selena trusted and respected. Although they have become enemies now, the feelings of over 1,000 years cannot be easily erased overnight. Otherwise, she would not have refused to give Victor a chance to speak, just because she was afraid that she would be soft-hearted. Today's 3 updates are here. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 164 Marcus Awakens. In the vampire castle, in the secret chamber where the 3 elders rested, Craven, a beleaguered and utterly bewildered, rushed in with a couple of the newly gathered cats and kittens. Craven's plan was simple: awaken another elder, Marcus, and then, using his eloquence, attempt to deceive him. He was unaware that Victor had been slain by Selena, and simply sought a new backer. As for why he sought out Marcus, it was because he was well aware of the conflict between Marcus and Victor, and believed that only Marcus could stand up to Victor. However, when Craven ordered his men to activate the mechanism, the slowly rising bronze coffin revealed no sign of Marcus, much to his horror. Suddenly, fine cracks appeared on the ground, followed by an explosion. A figure suddenly soared into the sky, wings spread wide, fingers sharp and pointed, and a ferocious face that only became more hideous. Swish, 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 amidst the whistling sound of the wind, before Craven could recover from his shock, the ugly monster had already swung its vast bat wings, slaughtering all of Craven's minions. Bang! Another dull thud, and Craven's shoulders were pierced by the bone tips of the bat wings, pinning him firmly to the wall. "Marcus," Craven asked with difficulty, vaguely recognizing a shadow of Marcus in the ugly face. "The memories of those beasts stinking blood are truly disgusting, but they also reveal your ridiculous ambition, Craven," Marcus said grimly, his tone filled with sarcasm and contempt. "Master, I can explain." Seeing Marcus acquiesce and maintain this attitude, Craven became anxious and even called him master, I don't need to listen to your filthy lies. Just by sucking your blood, I'll know the whole truth. Marcus smiled grimly, reaching out to grasp Craven's chin and slowly leaning forward. No, Craven screamed desperately, but his voice was cut short as Marcus spit down on his neck. Craven's eyes rolled back as memories streamed through his bloodstream, bringing a clearer understanding to Marcus. Ah, Selena, and that mysterious man, Marcus muttered softly, his eyes gleaming with a cold, strange light. At his feet, Craven's shrunken body lay carelessly discarded like a rag bag. He found another 5-star hotel and booked a penthouse suite. Following the waiter's lead, he arrived at the room. He drew the curtains across the floor-to-ceiling windows, just in time for the first rays of sunlight to filter in. Let's take a shower first, Wang Yunxiao said softly, returning to the bathroom and running the hot water. Then, returning to the bedroom, he spoke softly to Selena. Selena said nothing, nor did she move to the shower. She simply gazed at Wang Yunxiao, her eyes like a tranquil pool of water, tranquil and profound, enveloping him completely. A captivating atmosphere permeated the air, and the two of them couldn't help but kiss each other. As time passed, the initial tentative kisses turned passionate, and pieces of clothing were peeled off, tossed everywhere. As the sun set and the moon rose, Wang Yunxiao opened his eyes slightly, looking at the woman sleeping beside him. A warm smile curled the corners of his mouth. He quietly stepped out of bed, lowered his head, and gently kissed Selena's forehead. Then he left the bedroom and casually sat on the sofa in the living room. He lit a thin cigar and took a deep drag, feeling every cell in his body exuding a sense of comfort and relief. What are you thinking about? Wang Yunxiao hadn't even finished his cigar when Selena followed him out, half leaning against the door frame. At this moment, Selena was wrapped only in a bath towel, her alluring figure clearly on display, especially her long, smooth legs. Wang Yunxiao's eyes widened, and he didn't even bother to reply. Virtue, Selena gave Wang Yunxiao a coquettish look, then slowly walked over and sat down beside him. Ah, nothing. I was just thinking, once everything here is settled, you can come back with me, Wang Yunxiao said seriously, quickly gathering his composure. There was still a long time to come, and they both had endless lives to live. There was really no rush, business was more important. Well, it would be better to leave here sooner rather than later, Selena said quietly, nodding slightly. As soon as Wang Yunxiao mentioned this, her heart was completely focused on leaving this troubled place, not caring at all that the return he was referring to wasn't referring to this world. Let's go, first, to meet that Alexander Corvinus, Selena suggested immediately, not wanting to wait even a moment longer. Of course, Wang Yunxiao had no objections, nodding with a smile. Now that the goddess had fallen into his arms, he no longer wished to linger in this world, having achieved his ultimate goal. Once Selena obtained Alexander's bloodline, they could return directly to the Marvel Universe. As for Wang Yunxiao's original plan, to have Selena fuse the bloodlines of Marcus and William, Michael and Lucian, now in his personal space, could perfectly replace them. One was Alexander's direct descendant, the other the first sane wolf leader. They were no less capable than Marcus and William. After packing up, the two left the hotel under cover of darkness, heading straight for Pier 17. The night was dark, windy, and the autumn rain was drizzling. Pier 17 was the side of a massive ship docked year-round. Its owner, Alexander, was in a spacious freezer. On the beds within were the remains of vampires and werewolves, including Victor, who had lost half his head. In reality, for over 1,000 years, Alexander had been secretly covering up for the vampires and werewolves. Otherwise, the two tribes would have long been exposed to the world, and how could there have been such peace for over 1,000 years? War between humanity and the two tribes would have been inevitable. Humanity has always believed that those not of my kind must be different at heart, and this was exactly what Alexander hated to see. At that moment, Alexander, wielding a sharp scalpel, steadily cut open Victor's chest and extracted a round pendant. If Wang Yunxiao and Selena were here, they would have recognized it immediately. This pendant was one of the keys to William's cell, as recorded in Andrus's historical texts. Adding the smaller pendant, which always hung around Lucian's neck, would complete the two keys. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 165 Alexander Corvinus. Whoosh, the car pulled up to Pier 17, and Selena let out a long breath. It would be impossible to say she wasn't nervous about facing Alexander Corvinus, the common ancestor of both their vampire and werewolf tribes. Let's go, it's okay, Wang Yunxiao said gently, understanding Selina's current mood. Yet, Selina nodded slightly, her expression growing more resolute. Knock, knock, knock. However, before the two could exit the car, someone knocked on the driver's window from outside. This is a private property. You're trespassing, a stern warning followed, and a flashlight beam shone in. The two turned to see a heavily armed soldier, looking at them sternly. At the same time, countless more heavily armed soldiers surrounded them, their guns pointed at the two inside the car. We're here to see Mr. Lorenzo Macallo. Selina frowned slightly, but still opened the car window and shouted. Please get out of the car immediately. And keep your hands visible to me. The armed soldier ignored her and continued his stern command, his gun slightly raised. Give this to Mr. Macallo. I'm sure he'll agree to see us, Wang Yunxiao said calmly, tossing an object. It was the round pendant he'd taken from Lucian's neck, which also held one of the keys to William's cell. Seeing Wang Yunxiao's certainty, the armed soldier grew unsure and quickly stepped aside, whispering into the intercom. Keep an eye on them. Don't let them leave without orders. The armed soldier quickly returned, barking orders to the others. Please cooperate. The armed soldier, expressionless, addressed the two men and then trotted off towards the ship. Don't worry, let's wait. Wang Yunxiao patted Selina's hand, urging her to be calm. I know, Selina nodded slightly, but her eyes never left the ship. People are so strange. At first, they were nervous, but now they were anxious. Da-da-da. Suddenly, gunfire rang out from the ship, punctuated by shrill cries. Quick! Go see what's going on. The armed soldiers' faces paled, and they hurried towards the ship, no longer caring about the two people in the car. Let's go check it out too. Selina was about to get out to investigate, but Wang Yunxiao pulled her back. Wait a little longer. The situation is unclear right now, so don't let anything misunderstanding happen. Meeting Selina's puzzled gaze, Wang Yunxiao explained in a gentle voice. Although he said this, Wang Yunxiao had other suspicions in his mind, and his target was Marcus. He had the most reason to come here. At the same time, he couldn't help but sigh. The inertia of the plot is indeed powerful. Wang Yunxiao had stopped Selina to buy Marcus more time. If things got more chaotic, who knew Alexander would offer his bloodline, as in the original plot? Soon, the gunfire died down, and the ship became even quieter, with a strong smell of blood wafting on the sea breeze. We can't wait any longer. We have to see what's going on. Selina, unable to bear it any longer, opened the car door, stepped out, and sped towards the ship. This time, Wang Yunxiao didn't stop Selina and followed closely behind her. Judging by the time, Marcus should have been almost there. Following the scent of blood, the two arrived at a luxurious cabin on the ship, where they saw a dark figure exit through the window and vanish into the vast night sky in a flash, leaving them completely out of reach. Inside, several bodies lay, apparently fully armed soldiers. Only one person remained, gazing out the window at the darkness with a complex expression. Judging from his white hair, he must be an elderly man. What happened? Who was that just now? Selina demanded anxiously. Although she had only seen the back of a figure, she had a feeling it was someone she knew, but in her haste, she couldn't place it. Young man, you're too impatient. The old man slowly turned around and calmly considered Selina. Should we call you Mr. Macallo? Or Alexander Corvinus? Wang Yunxiao pulled Selina, who was about to speak, and then took over with a smile. It's been a while since I've heard that name. That was my old name. Alexander turned his gaze back to Wang Yunxiao, frowning slightly, and sighed. It's really you? Selina shuddered slightly. Although she had long believed in Alexander's existence, seeing him in person still brought a strange feeling to her heart. Are you wondering how I managed to hide for so long? Alexander glanced at Selina, his words tinged with self-deprecation. For over 1,400 years, I've watched helplessly as my descendants slaughtered each other, even slaughtered humankind. I never could have imagined this. I tried my best to stop it, but the war only escalated. In the end, all I could do was clean up the mess for you, to cover up our family's dark past. Alexander sighed self-reproachfully. From the looks of it, his heart truly was sincere. You should have stopped this from the very beginning, Selina said coldly, showing no sympathy for Alexander. How could you have the heart to kill your own flesh and blood? Alexander's composure suddenly shattered, and he excitedly asked the two. If we're mistaken, That man must have been your precious son, Marcus, Wang Yunxiao asked with a smile, unfazed. It was him. Why is he here? What is he trying to do? Selena, realizing immediately, pressed her again eagerly. Alexander remained silent, confirming Wang Yunxiao's suspicions. Why else? It's nothing more than taking the key from William with a gun. It was Wang Yunxiao who answered again. But what he said really made Selena's heart sink. Is this true? Then why did you let him go? Do you know how serious the consequences will be if William is released? Selena was even more anxious, and she wanted to point at Alexander's nose and curse. As for why Selena was so sure that Marcus had taken the key? It goes without saying. If he hadn't succeeded, how could Marcus retreat so easily? Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 166 Bloodline Fusion. You still want me to kill my son? Alexander shook his head slightly, not showing any emotion, but his attitude remained firm. Right. This is your responsibility. Selena was equally resolute, not giving in. Do you think you have the right to say that? You, a Death Walker, have killed countless innocent werewolves, and even humans. Don't sound so righteous. Ultimately, you're no different from Marcus. Even William is better than you, at least he can control himself. Alexander sneered and scolded her bluntly. Right. I have killed many people, but ultimately, it all started because of you, and every murder I've committed is your fault, Selena retorted, unyielding. You? Alexander was speechless, not knowing how to refute her. It was simply because Selena was telling the truth. Mr. Corvinus, we're not here to argue with you about who's right or wrong. We simply want to remind you that if you continue to indulge Marcus and allow him to release William, it will create thousands of mindless monsters. Is that what you want? Wang Yunxiao interjected, his tone calm, yet it struck a chord with Alexander. After all this talk, it's not that you're unsure of how to deal with Marcus that you've come to me for help, Alexander sneered. Perhaps, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, non-committal. For a moment, the three of them fell silent. No one spoke again, only the rustling of the wind carried through, and the atmosphere in the room became extremely heavy. Well? Have you thought it over? Wang Yunxiao asked after an indeterminate moment. What do you want me to do? Another silence followed, and Alexander asked instead. You're the only one in this world older and stronger than him who can kill him with your own hands, Selena said coldly. No matter what he becomes, he's still my son. Alexander shook his head. Okay, I hope you won't regret this. Let's go. Wang Yunxiao didn't waste any more words. He pulled Selena up and, ignoring her struggles, strode out of the cabin. But in reality, Wang Yunxiao was mentally counting 1, 2, 3, ready to strike the moment he stepped out of the cabin. Well, the truth was, Wang Yunxiao simply couldn't gauge Alexander's strength, otherwise, he would have attacked directly, instead of going through all this fuss and scheming. Wait, however, just as Wang Yunxiao had forcibly dragged Selena out of the cabin and was ready to attack, Alexander suddenly called out hoarsely to the two of them. They both turned to look at Alexander, and Wang Yunxiao was naturally delighted. He could see that the man had finally relented, and his long-planned plans had finally paid off. What else do you want? Selena said bluntly and harshly. She was filled with anger, and if Wang Yunxiao hadn't stopped her, she would have lost her temper. There's only one way to defeat him. Alexander, unconcerned, slashed his wrist as he spoke, sending a stream of crimson blood gushing out. The sight stunned the two. Wang Yunxiao was fine, having been surprised by Alexander's decisiveness. Selena, on the other hand, was perplexed by the sudden change in Alexander's attitude. Hurry, only my bloodline can handle him. Alexander, ignoring their reactions, simply extended his bloodied wrist toward Selena. Selena hesitated, instinctively glancing at Wang Yunxiao. Go ahead, Wang Yunxiao nodded gently, giving her a push. Encouraged by Wang Yunxiao, Selena finally made up her mind. Under the expectant gazes of the two, she slowly brought her mouth to Alexander's still bleeding wrist. Though both shared a sense of anticipation, their minds were clearly on opposite sides. Needless to say, Wang Yunxiao had long awaited this moment. As for Alexander, his emotions were far more complex. He felt a pang of sadness for his two sons, and a deep reluctance to watch them repeat the same mistakes. As Alexander's blood flowed in, rapidly merging with her own, Selena's already deep blue eyes grew even deeper, a profound transformation quietly taking place within her. It was clear that, Despite Alexander's powerful and domineering bloodline, it was also gentle, causing Selena no apparent discomfort. Go. Only you can stop him. Alexander closed his eyes in agony, waving his hand to signal the two to leave, unwilling to hear any words of gratitude. Take care. Selena opened her mouth, a multitude on her mind, but in the end, only these 3 words remained, and she departed with Wang Yunxiao. Arriving on the deck of the ship, the two of them didn't hesitate to board an attack helicopter, quickly disappearing into the endless night sky. What are you thinking about? Wang Yunxiao asked, turning his head to her after setting the automatic cruise mode according to Selena's route. It was only after Selena merged with Alexander's bloodline that she remembered the fragment of memory hidden deep within her memory, the location of the prison where William was imprisoned. Do you think Marcus will really go there? How did he know it? Selena asked softly, her eyes dark. He probably learned it from Craven. That guy has been with Victor for so many years, it's not surprising that he knows the location, Wang Yunxiao speculated, but he couldn't be sure. But one thing is certain, Marcus must know where William is being held, otherwise he wouldn't have come to seize the key. Now that he has the key, he will naturally rush there immediately. Wang Yunxiao was more curious about what would happen next since Arisa didn't commit suicide as planned. But no matter what, it had nothing to do with them. By then, they would have long since returned to the Marvel Universe. In fact, if Wang Yunxiao followed his heart, he really didn't want to wade into this mess again. Neither Marcus nor William were easy to deal with, there was really no point in provoking them. Just looking at Selena's agitated reaction, Wang Yunxiao knew that persuasion would be useless. The only option was to find a way to improve her strength or her ability to protect herself before the final battle. Fortunately, Selena had already merged with Alexander's bloodline, and Lucia and Michael were now resting peacefully in Wang Yunxiao's personal space. 3 updates for today. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 167, Mutation Reappears. Tada, tada, the helicopter circled back and forth over a rocky island, making no attempt to land. It wasn't that it didn't want to, or for any other reason, but simply because there was no suitable landing spot. And the island below was the prison where William was imprisoned. What should we do? Selena, aware of the current predicament, asked anxiously. Her concern wasn't simply the immediate predicament, she feared Marcus had already released William, which would be a truly serious problem. Jump down, Wang Yunxiao said, feeling helpless, thinking of only this half measure. Alright, Selena agreed without hesitation. Her only hope now was to reach William's cell and see if Marcus could be stopped beforehand. If it was too late, they would risk their lives to stay here forever. However, Selena didn't know that, at this very moment, Marcus had not only found the prison where William was being held and released him, but was also waiting for them to arrive, intent on eliminating them in one fell swoop. Jump! At the hatch, the 2 men clasped their hands and leaped from the helicopter. Without Wang Yunxiao's control, the helicopter plummeted towards the isolated island. Boom! A massive explosion erupted, and flames shot up from somewhere on the island. Not far from the flames, the 2 men had landed safely. Wait, just as Selena was about to bolt, Wang Yunxiao grabbed her. What for? Selena looked at Wang Yunxiao, puzzled. After this is over, are you really going back with me? Wang Yunxiao asked sternly. You're crazy. Selena was speechless, staring at Wang Yunxiao with a mixture of anger and amusement. At this hour, Wang Yunxiao still had the time to think about this. I'm serious. Selena, are you really determined to stay with me forever? Wang Yunxiao's expression was unusually serious, yet filled with deep affection. You? Yes, I'm sure. Seeing Wang Yunxiao's expression, Selena nodded solemnly, though she couldn't understand why. That's good, Wang Yunxiao smiled, a smile that was bright yet filled with inexplicable meaning. Selena's situation was different from the other 3 women. They all chose to follow Wang Yunxiao after knowing each other's existence, while Selena was still completely unaware of all this. However, before facing Marcus, and possibly even a Mad William, Wang Yunxiao was considering transforming Selena into a zombie. Then, she would naturally learn everything through her bloodline memories. Although he wasn't afraid of Selena leaving him, women were bound to have their tempers. With this trick, Wang Yunxiao would find it easier to coax her. These were all lessons he'd learned through the bitter experiences of the 3 women. Wang Yunxiao then retrieved the still unconscious Lucian from his personal space and handed him to Selena, his meaning self-evident. Do you really have to do this? Selena's eyes flashed with disgust, clearly reflecting on Michael's ugliness. After all, everyone loves beauty. Don't worry, I have a solution, Wang Yunxiao said gently, pushing Lucian closer. Selena gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look. Though unsure of his solution, she nonetheless trusted him and bit down on the artery in Lucian's wrist. Roar! A moment later, as Lucian's blood continued to flow into her body, Selena jerked upright, a low growl of pain emanating from her lips. In a flash, Lucian, who had begun to regain consciousness, was returned to Wang Yunxiao's personal space. His only remaining use was to nourish the women as they ascended to zombie bloodlines. Roar, 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 Selena growled in agony as her body underwent drastic changes. A pair of broad bat wings flared from her back. Veins bulged on her face and exposed skin, and even the faintest trace of black hair began to sprout. Wang Yunxiao hesitated no longer, leaning down and biting Selena's neck, draining away all the blood undergoing a drastic change. Feeling a faint sting in her neck, Selena's eyes narrowed for a moment, then relaxed, a look of comfort and enjoyment returning to her face. Ah! With a soft moan, Wang Yunxiao lifted his head from Selena's neck and flicked a finger to flick a drop of bright red blood. It dove into her brow, emitting a gentle white glow. Roar! Selena roared to the sky. Her once dark blue eyes transformed into gray-brown vertical pupils, tinged with wisps of purple. The wings behind her grew more than twice as wide and large, imposing a menacing presence. Another mutation. Why on earth is this happening? Wang Yunxiao stared blankly at Selena's vertical pupils, his mind racing with thoughts. While this mutation was supposed to be a good thing, it also disrupted Wang Yunxiao's subsequent plans. He had originally considered directly promoting Selena to a third-generation zombie, but now that seemed inappropriate. Selena's mutation was even more abrupt than Ada Wang's, having occurred only moments after she was transformed into a fourth-generation zombie. No one knew how much blood nutrients she would need to advance to the third generation. Wang Yunxiao's personal space contained only the blood of Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Sebastian, plus a living Michael. As for Lucian, who knew if his blood would still be useful for Selena's zombie bloodline? More importantly, Wang Yunxiao had a vague feeling that if he wanted to fully unlock Selena's potential, it would be best to avoid using such unhealthy blood. Perhaps the blood of dark creatures like vampires and werewolves would be the best choice. Soon, the roaring ceased, and Selena quickly gained initial control of her new body. This was significantly faster than the other three women, perhaps because vampires and zombies share many similarities. HMPH, Selena glared coldly at Wang Yunxiao, then spread her wings and soared into the sky, plunging back into the murky lake. Clearly, she had learned a great deal from her inherited bloodline memories. Looks like things aren't going well, Wang Yunxiao smiled wryly, knowing that once the matter with Marcus and William was resolved, things would definitely be more complex. And the fact that Selena didn't lose her temper was entirely thanks to those two. Plop! Although he felt bitter in his heart, Wang Yunxiao did not hesitate at all. He also jumped into the dark lake and followed Selena's scent. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 168 The Final Battle. The two of them arrived, one after the other, at a dark, damp, narrow corridor. The icy waters covered most of their bodies, leaving only their heads visible. Selena, without even a glance at Wang Yunxiao, continued on her own, earning another wry smile from Wang Yunxiao. He didn't say anything at this juncture, simply following closely behind her. Although Selena had been transformed into a fourth-generation zombie, it proved utterly powerless to limit her strength. She had already become the world's third vampire-werewolf hybrid, and now, with the added strength of a zombie body, she had eliminated those weaknesses, exponentially increasing her combat power and, above all, her survivability. As they advanced, the terrain gradually rose, the lake waters became shallower, and their expressions grew increasingly cautious. Soon, they arrived at the cell holding William, but it was already empty, a fact that made Selena's expression change drastically. Look out, Wang Yunxiao suddenly shouted, hurling Selena aside. Just as the two moved away, a dark figure flashed past their spot, swift as a flash. Da-da-da, a flurry of gunfire rang out, and Selena immediately opened fire. However, the figure was too fast, and her bullets could only track behind it. Who else could possess such speed, agility, and cunningness but Marcus? Wang Yunxiao's gaze was fixed on Marcus, but he made no move to help. Not only was he capable of flight, But he also had to be wary of the frenzied beast. AWW, as expected, accompanied by a shrill wolf's howl, a tall, powerful white figure suddenly darted out, aiming directly at the raised Selena. Marcus's cooperation was quite good, but it was unclear whether this irrational figure was actively cooperating or just acting unconsciously. In a flash, Wang Yunxiao was in front of William, kicking him in the shoulder. Bang! With a dull thud, the two of them flew backwards. Unexpectedly, William didn't rush at Wang Yunxiao or Selena again. Instead, he rolled and disappeared into a corridor. Even as Wang Yunxiao stopped William, Selena had already unfurled her terrifyingly large bat wings, soaring into the sky, chasing Marcus. In comparison, Marcus's bat wings were as tiny as a child's, and his speed was naturally far inferior to Selena's. Seeing that Selena wasn't in any immediate danger, Wang Yunxiao didn't hesitate any longer and dove into the corridor. The long corridor was dark and without a trace of light, but this didn't bother Wang Yunxiao, with his exceptionally sensitive senses. But before he could get far, William, with his stinking wolf more bared, rushed back, leaping several feet with each stride, reaching him in the blink of an eye. Unfazed, Wang Yunxiao fiercely met his blow with a fierce punch, colliding heavily with William's sharp claws. Bang! Another dull thud, and the two were sent flying backwards once again. Bang! Bang! The corridor twisted and turned, and before they could get far, they crashed heavily into the damp stone wall. Perhaps this was William's intention, relying on his toughness to finish Wang Yunxiao off right there. His idea was sound, but he didn't realize that Wang Yunxiao's defenses were just as strong as his, if not more so. Ouch! William howled in pain, and after being ricocheted to the ground, he rushed towards Wang Yunxiao without hesitation, even more ferocious and aggressive than before. However, Wang Yunxiao was even quicker than William. In a flash, he was in front of William and delivered a powerful kick to his massive wolf head. Bang! William, unresponsive, was sent flying backwards once again, slamming heavily into the stone wall. Well, this guy was a mad beast, a stubborn one at that. Wang Yunxiao's movements didn't even pause. Before his feet even touched the ground, he was in front of William again. By then, the beast hadn't even gotten back to its feet. Bang! Boom! Wang Yunxiao delivered another punch, slamming hard into his chest, creating a massive dent in the stone wall, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Bang! 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 Boom! Boom! Wang Yunxiao's arms transformed into countless afterimages, his punches raining down on William's massive wolf body. The dent behind him deepened, until he was completely embedded in the stone wall, unable to break free. However, this guy was incredibly tough. Despite Wang Yunxiao's countless punches, he appeared unharmed. Wang Yunxiao didn't care, nor did he feel surprised or discouraged. His fists, like two pile drivers, pounded William faster and more violently. Ouch! The pain continued. Though William was an irrational beast, he was not insensitive to pain. He struggled desperately, but to no avail. I believe that with Wang Yunxiao's unwavering efforts, William would eventually be knocked unconscious and stored in his personal space. Elsewhere, Selena and Marcus darted through the air, chasing and battling fiercely. But from the looks of it, it was clear that Selena had the upper hand, simply because of her greater speed, the greater reach of her bat wings, and the stronger, sharper bone spurs on their tips. However, it would be no easy task for Selena to truly defeat Marcus. Furthermore, Marcus possessed vast combat experience. Even if he had to withstand Selena's blows, he would have had to force his way into a low corner, significantly limiting Wang Yunxiao's overall advantage. Selena, without hesitation, pursued Marcus. It wasn't that she didn't understand Marcus's plans, but rather that she was truly fearless. Though their recent fierce battle had been brief, it had given her a clearer understanding of the zombie body, bolstering her confidence. As the battle shifted, the situation gradually shifted, just as Marcus had anticipated, and he regained the initiative. Ultimately, in terms of pure strength, he was still superior. As for Selena, her situation was similar to Michael's, boundless potential and unlimited future achievements. However, to put it more bluntly, Marcus was Selena's role model. No matter what, whether in potential or bloodline, he is not weaker than Selena, and may even be better. After all, he is the first-generation direct bloodline of Alexander Corvinus. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 169 Selena's Promotion. Selena and Marcus clashed from the air to the ground, and the dynamic of the fierce battle shifted immediately. After just a few rounds, Selena was already losing ground. And as time went on, her situation not only didn't improve, but instead became increasingly vulnerable. Selena gritted her teeth, unwilling to give up. While desperately resisting Marcus's attacks, her counterattacks became increasingly fierce. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough to reverse her disadvantage. Bang! With a muffled thud, Selena was caught off guard and sent flying by Marcus's punch. Bang! Before she'd even gotten a few meters, Selena slammed heavily into the stone wall. The immense force of the collision made her face pale and her brow furrow. Marcus, like an arrow shot from a bow, reached Selena in the blink of an eye and delivered another swift punch, striking her head. Bang! The next moment, Marcus's fist slammed into the stone wall, leaving a deep dent. At the critical moment, Selena ducked to avoid the blow and deftly spun behind him. Selena crouched and launched a sweeping kick straight at Marcus's calf. The cramped space left him no room to leap. As if anticipating this, Marcus leaned back, his legs raised sideways, easily dodging Selena's sweeping kick and simultaneously delivering a powerful downward strike with two elbows. Selena didn't dodge either, but instead launched a powerful upward kick, aiming for Marcus's back, a blow that landed before him. Marcus's reaction was equally quick, retracting his arm, rolling over, and striking out with his palm, barely blocking Selena's kick. Bang! The force of the collision sent Selena plummeting to the ground. Marcus, on the other hand, felt equally unwell, slamming hard into the stone wall above, creating a massive dent. The next moment, both the men attacked without pause, their blows sharper and more ferocious, each eager to slay the other. Bang! 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 Amidst the relentless clashes, Selena was sent flying once again, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, her left arm drooping limply. In a flash, Marcus sprinted in pursuit, his bat wings extended but not fully deployed. The bone spurs on his tips shot out, instantly piercing Selena's right shoulder and pinning her to the stone wall. Ah! Selena let out a low cry of pain, her entire body trembling with agony. It's useless, Selena. No matter how hard you struggle, you'll die today. Marcus leaned over with a sneer, his already ugly features even more sinister. Kill you, and Victor's last trace in this world will vanish. Don't hold out hope. No one can save you, Marcus spoke with growing excitement, his eyes gleaming with bloodthirsty ferocity. In Marcus's view, Wang Yunxiao, targeted by William, was already struggling to take care of himself, so how could he possibly come to Selena's rescue? He only needed to eliminate Selena once and for all, then join William in encircling Wang Yunxiao. By then, killing Wang Yunxiao would be a piece of cake. Even so, he still thought he had overestimated Wang Yunxiao's strength. Oh, really? At that moment, a remarkably calm voice suddenly rang out from behind Marcus, so close it seemed to be whispering in his ear. Marcus froze, not even daring to turn. He hadn't noticed how Wang Yunxiao had gotten so far behind him, leaving him completely unaware. Yunxiao, woo! Selena's face lit up with joy, but it irritated her wound, and the words on her lips instantly turned into sobs. You deserve to die? Seeing Selena's miserable state, Wang Yunxiao's murderous intent seethed. He launched a whip kick, a whistling sound that pierced the air, side-kicked Marcus's head. The kick was incredibly powerful, not sure if it would kill anyone, but a solid hit would definitely not be pleasant. Marcus, having heard the force of the kick alone, had already prepared himself. Without hesitation, he dove to the side. Whoosh! The next moment, a fist like thunder, accompanied by a muffled sonic boom, slammed into Marcus's face. Wang Yunxiao had, in a flash, dodged and blocked him. Marcus knew very little about Wang Yunxiao and had never anticipated his mastery of special abilities. He was completely caught off guard and could only barely raise his arms to block the blow. Bang! With a dull thud, Marcus was sent flying at an even faster speed, his arms twisted and deformed. Swish! Wang Yunxiao dodged again, appearing in Marcus's path as he flew backwards. He bent his knees and struck him squarely on the back. Crack! With a slight, crisp sound, Marcus's body twisted into a C shape, his eyes bulging, his already unsightly features distorted to an even more hideous hue. After a moment's pause, he slammed into the stone wall before him like a cannonball. Wang Yunxiao's attack didn't relent. He flashed in front of Marcus once again, his right hand forming a claw, aiming for Marcus' heart. The heart was also a vampire's weak spot, If he caught it, Marcus would be doomed. In this critical moment, Marcus unleashed his full potential, unleashing a powerful punch that blocked Wang Yunxiao's incoming claw. Crack! Wang Yunxiao grabbed Marcus's fist and twisted it, shattering his entire arm. However, this wasn't the end. Selena, enduring the excruciating pain, silently soared behind Marcus. The sharp bone spurs on the tips of her wings pierced his back and exited through his chest. No, Marcus screamed in despair, feeling his strength instantly drained away. Even if he tried to resist, he was powerless. Don't kill him. Drink his blood. Seeing Selena still trying to kill Marcus in one fell swoop, Wang Yunxiao shouted a warning. Selena, having learned a great deal from her bloodline memories, hesitated for a moment before biting Marcus' neck. As a vampire, she wasn't as averse to blood-sucking as the other women. Wang Yunxiao then retrieved William and Michael, still unconscious, from her personal space. Feeling unsure, she also retrieved Lucian, hoping his blood would still be effective. Roar! After draining the blood of several people in quick succession, Selena unleashed a piercing roar, shaking the entire prison cell as if it would collapse at any moment. Simultaneously, Selena's body underwent a profound transformation. Her gray-brown pupils transformed into an amber-like golden color, the purple within them deepening. The massive bat wings spread out behind her were covered in a dense layer of dark scales, resembling dragon scales, and the bone spurs at their tips appeared even sharper and more menacing. Today's 3 updates are here. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Return to Marvel. Is this the world you're from? Selena's gaze was filled with curiosity as she gazed at the bustling New York streets. Her underworld world was far inferior to this in terms of bustle and bustle. Yes, I'll take you for a good tour when I have time. Now, let's go home, Wang Yunxiao said gently with a smile. Why? You're so eager to miss your lover, Selena asked meaningfully, retracting her gaze, a dangerous glint in her eye. How could that be? With you around, the only person I'd think of is you. The smile on her face turned bitter, and Wang Yunxiao decisively followed his heart. I wouldn't believe you, Selena glared at Wang Yunxiao coquettishly, but she didn't argue further and followed him back to the manor. It was only morning, and the manor was deserted. The women, unaware of Wang Yunxiao's return, naturally went about their own business. They weren't as leisurely as Wang Yunxiao, everyone had their own agenda. After a quick tidy-up, Wang Yunxiao took Selena on a tour of the manor and its surroundings, giving her a deeper understanding of the world. Hey, brother Yunxiao, you're back. In the evening, the women returned to the manor and were overjoyed to see Wang Yunxiao. Emma, in particular, threw herself into his arms. I missed you, Wang Yunxiao said softly, smiling as he gently stroked Emma's back, his gentle gaze sweeping over each of the women. Huh? Who's this sister? She smells so familiar. Is she the new sister you found? Emma asked innocently. Due to his position, Wang Yunxiao didn't see the fleeting cunning in her eyes. Swish, swish, swish. For a moment, the women's gazes, including Selena's, were all fixed on Wang Yunxiao, their sharp, knife-like eyes fixed on him. Well, let me introduce you. Wang Yunxiao could clearly feel the temperature around him drop by more than 10 degrees, but he didn't dare hesitate. He quickly feigned calmness and introduced the women to each other with a smile. Hello, please take care of me in the future. Hello, welcome to our big family. Thankfully, despite the initial unfamiliarity, the women quickly warmed up to each other, chatting and laughing together, which made Wang Yunxiao feel a little relieved. But the moment they ignored him, he knew this matter wouldn't be over so easily, and he would have to endure it for a while. Well, you guys chat first. I'll call Charles and ask him to come back so we can all have some fun together, Wang Yunxiao said, and then he escaped from the place like a flash. Wang Yunxiao didn't know that at the moment he fled, the women exchanged a tacit smile, which inadvertently brought them closer. It's worth mentioning that since the completion of the Umbrella Industrial Park, Charles and his 2 companions have practically made it their home. Unless it's something important, they rarely return to the manor. However, Wang Yunxiao's return and the arrival of a new member were naturally significant events, and soon the 3 returned to the manor together. As Wang Yunxiao had anticipated, at the dinner, with Charles and his two companions present, the women stopped clinging to him, at least outwardly. This reassured him considerably, and he was already considering who he should target tonight. The night was cool as water, deep winter, and white snowflakes drifted across the sky. Wang Yunxiao sat in the garden pavilion, lighting a thin cigar and puffing away. Arnim Zola sat across from him, his gaze still tinged with complexity. This was the first time the two had been alone face-to-face since Arnim's transformation into a zombie and joining their extended family. However, I believe that after more than a week, and with the influence of Charles and Bolivar, he should have been able to accept his current reality calmly. Not bad. Wang Yunxiao's trip to the Underworld didn't last long, just over a week. Truthfully, aside from Selena, the Moonlight Goddess, there wasn't much else he valued in that world. Werewolves had obvious weaknesses, being mostly simple-minded, brawny rogues. Vampires also had obvious weaknesses, and most importantly, the Marvel Universe had plenty of them. As for technological advancements, forget it. Not only could they not compare to the technologically advanced world of Resident Evil, but they were also far behind the future Marvel Universe. Arnim, how have you been lately? Wang Yunxiao asked, breaking the silence after finishing a cigar. Very good. Charles and Bolivar are both top scientists, and we work very well together. Plus, the research data and high-tech equipment you brought back from Resident Evil have helped me overcome many previously challenging problems. Arnim's lips curled up slightly, his eyes sparkling. He spoke eloquently, seemingly truly content with his current life. This was not unexpected by Wang Yunxiao. A scientific enthusiast like Arnim would find it difficult to resist such temptations. Without exposing yourself, don't lose contact with Hydra. Send someone when the opportunity arises. After a moment's thought, Wang Yunxiao spoke bluntly. Boss, are you going to deal with them? Arnim paused slightly at this, his voice lowering. Certain zombie bloodlines connected him, and Arnim naturally couldn't disobey Wang Yunxiao's decision. However, Hydra was his former faith, and it would be difficult to change his mind immediately. He would inevitably feel resentful if he were asked to personally deal with Hydra. Don't worry, I'm not going to deal with Hydra, as long as they don't provoke us. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, first stating his attitude. However, to prevent trouble before it happens, whether it's Hydra or the Strategic National Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, we must place some people there so that if anything unexpected does happen, we can communicate in time. Moreover, their intelligence and capabilities are far beyond our current capabilities. Then, Wang Yunxiao explained his purpose. Thank you. Boss, leave this matter to me, I'll keep a close eye on them. Arnim breathed a sigh of relief, and while expressing his gratitude, he also made a promise. His boss was much more sincere, and there was no longer any resistance. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 171 The Cube Disappears. Arnim, what projects were you responsible for at the Strategic National Defense, Offensive, and Logistics Bureau? Were there any research related to the Cosmic Cube? Wang Yunxiao changed the subject, finally getting to the point, the one that concerned him most. That was the case initially, yes, but then the Cosmic Cube was taken away by the military. Arnim was slightly startled, clearly not expecting Wang Yunxiao to be so concerned about the Cosmic Cube, but he immediately replied. How could that be? When did the military get involved in the Strategic National Defense, Offensive, and Logistics Bureau? Wang Yunxiao was speechless, bewildered. At that time, the Strategic National Defense, Offensive, and Logistics Bureau hadn't yet been established. It was still the Strategic Scientific Corps, still answerable to the U.S. government. It was a subordinate agency of the military, and while nominally independent, it was still subject to its jurisdiction. Arnim explained with a wry smile. I see. Wang Yunxiao suddenly realized, and even thought of more. The U.S. government must have known in advance that the Strategic Scientific Corps would soon become independent and answerable only to the World Security Council, which was why they took the Cosmic Cube away in advance. This was also consistent with the U.S. government's usual practices. Don't you think Peggy and the others asked the U.S. government for it afterwards? Wang Yunxiao couldn't help but ask, knowing the odds were slim. Of course not. The U.S. government just kept giving us all excuses. Even reporting it to the World Security Council was useless. Anim's words were tinged with irritation. After all, ever since Red Skull obtained the Tesseract, Arnim had been responsible for research, and this continued even when he joined SHIELD. The sudden seizure of the Tesseract by the US government undoubtedly interrupted his research. How could he not be furious? So, you and Peggy don't know the whereabouts of the Tesseract either, Wang Yunxiao asked, rather disappointedly. It wasn't surprising. The Tesseract was incredibly important to him. Not only was it crucial to improving his special abilities, but more importantly, to illuminate the nebulae in the My Date with a Vampire world, and even unlock the nebulae in other worlds, would likely require an immense amount of special energy. Opening the nebulae in other worlds was one thing, but Wang Yunxiao's even more pressing desire was to quickly illuminate the nebulae in the world of My Date with a Vampire. For some time, even while in the world of Underworld, Wang Yunxiao had been agonizing over the issue of the zombie within him no longer being able to ascend. He'd considered countless possibilities and made numerous attempts, but still had no clue. Since he couldn't find a solution in Underworld, he suspected the same would be true in the Marvel Universe. So, Wang Yunxiao had no choice but to turn to the world of My Date with a Vampire. After all, his zombie bloodline originated there, and perhaps there might be an answer. She probably doesn't know. Otherwise, with Miss Carter's unwavering style, she would have managed to forcibly reclaim it long ago, Arnim mused, shaking his head. That's quite right. This is certainly something Peggy could do, Wang Yunxiao agreed. However, the answer clearly disappointed him. Arnim, I have an important mission. Mobilize all Hydra forces and search for the Tesseract. Wang Yunxiao gave a serious order after a moment's thought. But your identity must not be revealed, Wang Yunxiao added after a pause. Ultimately, whether Hydra could find the Tesseract was still uncertain. If this revealed Arnim's survival and led to SHIELD targeting him, it would be a complete waste of time. Yes, Arnim replied gravely. Well, the Tesseract is too important to me. I can't rely solely on Hydra. Let's discuss this with everyone. Wang Yunxiao still felt this arrangement wasn't sound enough, so he decided to brainstorm. Soon, everyone was gathered in the garden pavilion, sitting in a circle, their gazes turning inquiringly towards Wang Yunxiao. At the dawn of this universe, the Creator God transformed 6 singularities, endowed with boundless energy, into 6 infinity stones. The cosmic cube was created as a container for the space stone. As Wang Yunxiao spoke, everyone listened intently. Even Arnim, who had studied the cosmic cube for years, was no exception. He had never known the cosmic cube's origins, let alone the 6 infinity stones. During World War II, the Red Skull recovered the cosmic cube, which had been lost on Earth, from a church in Tonsberg, Norway. It became the ultimate linchpin of his ambition to conquer the world. My special abilities, including the ability to travel across dimensions, are derived from the special abilities within the cosmic cube. The people in the pavilion were Wang Yunxiao's most trusted confidants, so naturally, Wang Yunxiao would hold nothing back. This is the truth. The space stone is something I must obtain, but I don't know where it's been hidden by the US government. Everyone, please think of a way to find it. After recounting the entire story, Wang Yunxiao looked at the crowd with anticipation. Outside the pavilion, the falling snow was a breathtaking sight, but the atmosphere was heavy and oppressive. I'm afraid it's difficult. Since Howard and the others have struggled to locate the Tesseract, it will be even harder for us. However, I will mobilize all of the club's connections. Selene, having dealt most with the US government and most aware of the difficulty of this matter, spoke solemnly. Give it your all. Don't worry, we'll do our utmost to find the Tesseract. Ada Wang, also experienced in dealing with special agencies in various countries, also agreed without hesitation. Although the Tesseract is important, don't expose us. That would likely destroy all our efforts, Wang Yunxiao warned solemnly. While the Tesseract was important, it wasn't worth risking their entire current power. Yes, we understand, everyone nodded solemnly. Bolivar, any progress with the Sentinel robots? Sensing the heavy atmosphere, Wang Yunxiao changed the subject. With the help of Charles and Arnim, I guarantee we'll have the first generation of Sentinel robots ready within 3 years. When asked about his areas of expertise, Bolivar was naturally confident. Well, I'll be waiting for your good news. I hope our underground base can be officially operational in 3 years. Wang Yunxiao was delighted to hear this. Finally, there was good news. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 172, 1970. Chapter 3. 1970. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was already 1970. For over 2 years, Wang Yunxiao had mobilized all his forces, even using Arnim to manipulate Hydra and even SHIELD, but he had found no clues to the Tesseract. Wang Yunxiao was helpless, but there was nothing he could do. He could only wait. According to historical records, the Tesseract had last appeared in 1989, during the U.S. military's Project Pegasus, when Wendy Lawson used it to develop a light-speed engine to aid the Skrulls. That was nearly 20 years, an awful long time, but there was nothing Wang Yunxiao could do. He could only wait patiently. Fortunately, 2 good things had happened this year, bringing some relief to Wang Yunxiao's anguish and anxiety. First, Howard Stark, the playboy, finally settled down and had his first son, the future Marvel superhero Tony Stark, known as Iron Man. I still remember the day Tony's full moon. Stark Manor was packed with guests, including the super-rich from the United States and around the world, as well as high-ranking officials from various countries. Those of lesser status were not allowed to visit, and could only offer their gifts and quietly leave. It was also on that day, in the presence of these people, that Wang Yunxiao, Howard's best friend, naturally became Tony's godfather. Later, whenever Wang Yunxiao thought about it, thinking that the future Iron Man had become his godson, he felt a little excited. Furthermore, with the full support of Charles and Arnim, Bolivar had finally successfully developed the first Sentinel robot. After thorough testing and refinement, the Sentinel was ready for mass production. As long as sufficient materials were available, the Sentinels could be produced continuously. Wang Yunxiao had ordered Bolivar and the other 2 to quickly build 100 Sentinels and begin construction of the underground base at Umbrella Industries. They believed that within 5 years, they would have an underground base comparable to the Hive in the Resident Evil universe. As for the necessary materials, both for Sentinel manufacturing and the underground base, Wang Yunxiao would source them from both the Resident Evil and Underworld worlds to avoid attracting attention. With this portable space, it would only take a couple of extra trips. Unfortunately, the combat effectiveness of the first-generation Sentinels was quite poor, even for fully armored super soldiers. They were now only useful as laborers. Bolivar, however, had had a research bottleneck in further improving the Sentinels' capabilities, and further breakthroughs were unlikely in the short term. He explained that the key issue lay in the limited number of mutant X gene samples they currently possessed. Wang Yunxiao remained non-committal. He knew full well that if they truly wanted to fully enhance the Sentinels' capabilities, relying solely on the X genes of ordinary mutants, no matter how many, would be of no use. The key lay in Mystique's unique X gene. However, Wang Yunxiao didn't tell Bolivar and the other 2 about this. Otherwise, given their experimental tendencies, they wouldn't have waited even a moment. Wang Yunxiao didn't want to antagonize Professor X right away. As for why Professor X and not Magneto, it was because Magneto had been captured by the US government years earlier. Of course, this was just the US government's external narrative. The truth was, Magneto had surrendered voluntarily. Regardless, it was a fact that Magneto was imprisoned in a secret US prison, and the mutants he recruited were either hiding their identities or had been killed or captured. Mystique, on the other hand, was currently sheltered at Professor X's mutant school, serving as an instructor for the X-Men. However, Wang Yunxiao's decision not to act now didn't mean he wouldn't pursue Mystique. If he remembered correctly, according to the original historical trajectory, Academy X would soon be undergoing a major change. By then, Professor X would be overwhelmed and naturally, wouldn't be able to care about Mystique anymore. Sure enough, just over a month later, Selene brought the latest news from Xavier's School for the Gifted, also known as Academy X. Are you saying that the US government plans to draft all male faculty and students at Academy X to serve in the Vietnam War? Upon hearing Selene's story, Wang Yunxiao sneered and despised, a strange glint flashing in his eyes. Strange. Brother Yunxiao, why aren't you surprised at all? Emma asked curiously. I expected it. Isn't the US government always like this? I'm afraid only that naive Xavier would believe those hypocrites. How? Wang Yunxiao's sneer and disdain deepened, but he didn't know if the target was the US government, Professor X, or both. So what should we do next? Emma couldn't help but ask. Do nothing, just wait and see, Wang Yunxiao said indifferently. That's not good. Those mutants are innocent, Emma muttered with some reluctance. Unlike Selene, She still had a certain amount of goodwill towards the mutant community. She had even privately approached Bolivar, asking him not to harm the lives of the mutants while conducting experiments on them. Bolivar had no objection. How can we help? If we intervene and rescue those mutants, the US government will inevitably become wary of us, which would be very detrimental to our future development. Wang Yunxiao's response was both pragmatic and ruthless. But Emma still felt reluctance. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something more, but the words faltered. After all, Wang Yunxiao's words were true, and she had to admit it. Okay, later, please ask General Mitchell to take good care of them. He is in the Vietnam battlefield now. Wang Yunxiao also understood Emma's temperament. After thinking for a while, he said, Yeah. Emma nodded repeatedly, and a smile bloomed on her pretty face again. She also knew that doing so might not have much effect, but at least she had finally done her part. As for asking Emma to sacrifice everyone's interests in exchange for the safety of mutants she didn't even know, it was absolutely impossible. After all, there is a degree of closeness and distance between people. When it comes to the moment when they have to make a choice, they will naturally make the choice that is most beneficial to themselves. Thanks to book friend 160,210,230,250,260, who has loved, hurt, suffered, and hated, and has guaranteed a monthly ticket. Today's 3 updates are here. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote. Chapter 173 Brainwave Enhancer. Summer faded into autumn. One day, Wang Yunxiao, Selena, Selene, and Emma, a group of 4, rode the cool autumn breeze to Xavier's School for the Gifted. It's worth noting that both the Umbrella Corporation and the Hellfire Club are now well established, with clear divisions of labor and tacit cooperation among the women. There's no need for new personnel. Therefore, upon arriving at Marvel, Selena was assigned to Wang Yunxiao's side, nominally as his personal assistant, but in reality, to keep a close eye on him and prevent him from attracting other women. What else could Wang Yunxiao say? He had to accept it. Besides, with such a beautiful woman by his side, what could he possibly want? This, Emma gasped in disbelief, looking at the half-open door covered in a thick layer of moss. Although she had never been here before, the photos she had seen of it certainly didn't look like this. Nothing surprising here. This place has been abandoned for over 2 months, Selene said calmly, clearly anticipating this. Indeed, 2 months prior, Xavier's School for the Gifted had already suffered a drastic change. All male faculty and students were sent to the Vietnam War, regardless of their willingness or lack of marital status. As for the remaining female faculty and students, they were returned to their families and placed under strict surveillance by the U.S. government. Fortunately, the U.S. government had some dignity and didn't send them off to war. Professor X, after facing such a devastating loss, fell into deep self-blame and depression. Hank had no choice but to take him back to his old house, away from this heartbreak. To help Professor X recover from his trauma, Hank developed a drug that allowed him to walk, but he developed an addiction to it. However, the drug also suppressed his mutant abilities, turning him into a drunken wretch. Let's go in and take a look. Wang Yunxiao was the first to get out of the car and stride into the manor. The 3 women exchanged glances, then followed suit, getting out of the car and following closely behind him. Along the way, they saw the manor was overgrown with weeds. The stone walkways and the artificial lake were covered in a thick layer of fallen leaves. Entering the old castle, the former Xavier School for the Gifted, the furnishings were all in disarray, covered in a thick layer of dust. Everything about it exuded a sense of desolation. What are we doing here? Emma asked, her brows furrowed slightly, as if she didn't want to stay any longer. Looking for something, Wang Yunxiao said with a mysterious smile. What is it? Emma's curiosity was piqued. Even the other 2 women cast curious glances at Wang Yunxiao. Wang Yunxiao remained silent, moving forward on his own, tapping and banging, as if searching for something. HMPH. So secretive, who knows what he's up to, Emma muttered in dissatisfaction, but she and the other girls followed Wang Yunxiao, observing the situation from the sidelines. It wasn't that they didn't want to help, but they didn't even know what Wang Yunxiao was looking for, so how could they help? Found it. After a long pause, Wang Yunxiao's eyes suddenly lit up. He reached out and pressed down hard on a wall tile, twisting it left and right. At the same time, with a series of clicks, the wall directly in front of them, at the end of the corridor, slowly opened, revealing a hidden world within. As they entered, the ceiling lights gradually illuminated, revealing a circular, high-tech chamber. How is this possible? The three girls were stunned by the scene before them, and Emma couldn't help but gasp. They had only seen similar scenes in Charles and his companion's laboratory before. This was truly beyond the technological limits of this world. Finally found you. Glad someone else didn't get it. Wang Yunxiao's eyes lit up as he strode forward, storing the massive device in the center, including the helmet-like structure, into his personal space. Is this what you were looking for? What is it? What's it for? Seeing Wang Yunxiao complete, Emma couldn't contain her curiosity any longer and peppered her with questions. Have you heard of a brainwave enhancer? Wang Yunxiao dropped the mystery. Otherwise, given Emma's personality, she would have been furious. You mean, this is the brainwave enhancer that Professor X uses to enhance telepathy? That's amazing, Emma cheered excitedly. She knew that she was the only one with telepathy, so the enhancer must have been made for her. Don't get too excited. Your telepathic abilities are far inferior to Professor X's, and you might not be able to use this thing yet. Let Bolivar and the others research and modify it first. Seeing Emma's excitement, Wang Yunxiao quickly poured cold water on her, fearing she might get carried away and cause trouble. Wang Yunxiao wasn't afraid of just a few mishaps, but he was afraid she might hurt herself. Got it. I trust Bolivar and the others, they won't let me down. Emma waved her hand slightly impatiently, while also expressing her full confidence in Bolivar and the others. Now that they had the item, the three decided not to linger any longer, lest any further complications arise. They immediately left the manor and drove to the Umbrella Industrial Park. In the Umbrella Industrial Park laboratory, Bolivar and the others' eyes lit up as they saw the brainwave amplification device Wang Yunxiao had whipped out. They already had a vague idea of what it was. They had all heard of it. This is the brainwave enhancer. I'll have to trouble you three to see if you can modify it so that it's suitable for Emma. Wang Yunxiao briefly explained the whole story. Great. This way, we won't be short of mutant X gene samples anymore. Bolivar's first reaction was ecstasy when his guess was confirmed. As for Wang Yunxiao's request, it was not a big deal in his eyes, not to mention that he had Charles and Arnim who were no less capable than him. Don't worry, if you can really modify it, I will give you a big gift, Wang Yunxiao also promised with a smile, not minding adding fuel to the fire. What big gift is it? Bolivar and the other two were very curious about what Wang Yunxiao meant by big gift. It must be something more than a simple item. Wang Yunxiao smiled mysteriously, but did not intend to solve the mystery. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 174, Capturing Mystique Again. Barely a week later, Bolivar and Arnim reported good news. Thanks to their collaborative efforts, the modified EEG amplifier had been completed. Immediately, Emma, already impatient, dragged Wang Yunxiao and the others to the Umbrella Industrial Park laboratory. The modified EEG amplifier has lower user requirements, fewer side effects, and a lower chance of detection. Specifically, as soon as Wang Yunxiao and the others arrived, Bolivar launched into rambling exposition, his expression and words brimming with self-satisfaction. Then let's give it a try, Wang Yunxiao said, glancing at Emma, who was already eager to try it out. He smiled and nodded slightly. He had the utmost confidence in Bolivar and Arnim's abilities. Excellent, Emma exclaimed, about to run towards the more technologically advanced EEG amplifier, but Wang Yunxiao grabbed her. Wait, listen to me first. Don't push yourself on this, it's your first time. I'm not asking you to find out how many mutants there are in the world, I just want you to find one. She should be in the US right now. Under Emma's slightly disapproving glare, Wang Yunxiao, while giving instructions, also made his request. Who is it? Emma asked curiously. Mystique, Raven Darkholm, Wang Yunxiao slowly said the name. Her? Such a versatile beauty. You wouldn't have any bad intentions towards her, would you? Got it, I'll find her. Emma looked at Wang Yunxiao suspiciously. Seeing Wang Yunxiao about to strike, she offered repeated assurances and dashed over to the brainwave amplifier. Hey, what are you looking at? I swear, I'm not interested in her. Feeling the strange looks from Ada Wang, Lane, Selena, and Selene, Wang Yunxiao cursed Emma inwardly for causing trouble and swore a curse before finally calming the two girls down. Ada Wang and Lane were also very interested in the EEG amplifier, deliberately putting aside all their duties for the day to join Wang Yunxiao in observing. Elsewhere, under Arnhem's guidance, Emma excitedly donned the helmet and slowly closed her eyes, readying herself. Then, at Wang Yunxiao's slight nod, Arnhem activated the EEG amplifier. Instantly, faint blue light streamed from the massive device, flowing through the countless pipes connected to the helmet, and into the helmet itself, emitting an even more dazzling blue glow. At the same moment, Emma's delicate body trembled slightly, her face turning pale. Sharp zombie fangs emerged, and her eyes transformed into amber-yellow pupils, revealing her true form as a zombie. It was clear that she had now fully utilized her telepathic abilities. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Time ticked by, yet to the anxiously awaited crowd, it felt so much longer. Although everyone had great faith in Bolivar and Arnhem's abilities, they couldn't help but worry about Emma's safety. Finally, after nearly 15 minutes, under the increasingly anxious gaze of the crowd, the EEG amplifier stopped, and Emma removed her helmet. "How are you feeling? Are you feeling any discomfort?" Wang Yunxiao darted over to Emma, asking with concern. "It's okay. I found Mystique's location. She's in Brooklyn, New York." Emma smiled sweetly, then, as if to take credit, revealed Mystique's exact location. "Thank you for your hard work. Leave the rest to me. You take a good rest." Wang Yunxiao gently stroked Emma's hair, his eyes full of doting. Can I use it to find some mutants to strengthen our strength?" Emma nodded at first, then asked in a low voice with a hint of worry. "Of course, no problem. But there's no rush. We need to plan carefully first. We don't want to end up like Academy X. That would be more trouble than it's worth." Wang Yunxiao smiled slightly and expressed his opinion. Wang Yunxiao had naturally considered whether to form a mutant force, but he knew how mutants would be rejected by future generations, so he knew that he had to be extremely cautious in this matter. "Oh," Emma said in a low voice, not without disappointment. "Don't be like that. I didn't say no. We just have to carefully consider our targets. It's best to choose young mutants who are relatively young, have at least beta-level potential, or possess special abilities, so we can focus on training them," Wang Yunxiao advised gently, noticing Emma's expression. "I know," Emma rolled her eyes at Wang Yunxiao, truly a nagging little devil. Everyone agreed with Wang Yunxiao's words, even Emma, who naturally had no objections. Wang Yunxiao then asked everyone to continue discussing the details of the matter before leaving the industrial park alone and heading straight for Mystique's location. To minimize his presence, Wang Yunxiao not only employed a disguise but also changed routes and transportation several times along the way. Finally, after more than half an hour, Wang Yunxiao arrived in northern Brooklyn, where Mystique was hiding. She'd really chosen her spot well. This place wasn't just a New York slum, but also a hive of activity and a poor security environment, making it ideally hidden from the US government's radar. It had to be that way. In the past few years, Mystique had followed Magneto and committed a number of major offenses. Now, even Professor X was too preoccupied to protect her, leaving her in hiding, daring not to venture out. Wang Yunxiao approached an old residential building unnoticed, slipped inside, and swiftly made his way to residence. While the local thugs were remarkably brazen, no one dared to provoke him, perhaps sensing his formidable presence. Just as Wang Yunxiao had slipped into the residence, a warning cry echoed in his ears. Mystique's alertness didn't surprise Wang Yunxiao in the least, nor did it panic. He vanished in a flash. At the same time, Mystique only saw a figure flash by, and before she could even see clearly whether it was a man or a woman, she felt a pain in the back of her head and completely lost consciousness. Faintly, she always felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity in her heart, as if she had encountered this situation before. Please collect, subscribe, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 175: The Women's Decision. After wasting more than half an hour, Wang Yunxiao returned to the Umbrella Industrial Park lab. Everyone was still huddled together, still engaged in heated discussions. So soon, everyone was surprised by Wang Yunxiao's swift return. If it weren't for the faint smile on his face, they might have thought he'd returned empty-handed. Of course, dealing with a mere Mystique is a piece of cake, Wang Yunxiao said with a smug smile. "Brother Yunxiao, why do you insist on capturing this Mystique?" Emma asked crisply, her curiosity always insatiable, but she also set a huge trap for Wang Yunxiao. "I've already said it before, I'm really not interested in her. I do have a reason for doing this. The next moment, Wang Yunxiao felt a distinct chill in the gazes of the women, and his heart tightened. He quickly explained with a smile. Speak. Lane spat out a single word coldly, as if waiting for your explanation. This mystique is truly remarkable. In some ways, she's the strongest. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, then dropped a bombshell. What we've seen so far is that she can transform into anyone's appearance at will, including irises, fingerprints, skin texture, voice, and gender. These are just the most basic changes. With further development, she could even alter her own cells and tissue structure. Facing the crowd's intrigued gazes, Wang Yunxiao no longer held back, revealing everything he knew. What? How is this possible? Bolivar, the most in-depth mutant researcher, was the first to exclaim in surprise. Doesn't this mean that, if her abilities are developed to their full potential, she can simulate the abilities of all mutants? Charles, also a mutant researcher, exclaimed in disbelief. The others exchanged glances, each wondering if they had misheard. After all, such a thing was simply too unbelievable. Indeed. If she could truly develop her abilities to their full potential, she might become our first known Omega-level mutant. Of course, the possibility is incredibly slim, and it's not something that can be achieved simply through hard work. Wang Yunxiao shrugged, his voice tinged with regret. Honestly, Wang Yunxiao truly felt pity for Mystique's future achievements, even briefly considering accepting her into their small group. But as he'd said, the prospect of truly developing her mutant abilities to that point was too slim, and he ultimately abandoned the idea. By this point, everyone had no more doubts, but they were all even more astounded by Mystique's abilities. Where is she? Show her out, Bolivar urged Wang Yunxiao eagerly, unable to wait even a moment. I have only one request, don't harm her life, and don't let her regain consciousness and expose us. Wang Yunxiao casually pulled Mystique from his personal space, not forgetting to state his request. If you were to ask Wang Yunxiao why he made such a request, it wasn't that he had any ulterior motives. While being able to transform into any beautiful woman at will was undoubtedly tempting, it was still fake, and he wasn't that perverted. It wasn't that Wang Yunxiao was concerned about Professor X's feelings. In his view, their relationship was at most one of mutual exploitation, with no personal feelings at all. And to say that Wang Yunxiao feared Professor X and Magneto was even more ridiculous. Putting aside other matters, even if Mystique were now in his possession, no one outside knew about it, and it would never be revealed. The real reason was that Mystique would play a role in many major mutant events in the future, and she would even play a crucial role. If Wang Yunxiao wanted to profit from this, he had to keep Mystique and find a chance to release her. As for how Mystique would react afterward, that was not Wang Yunxiao's concern. As long as he didn't become suspicious, it was fine. No problem, Bolivar agreed without hesitation. As long as he could study Mystique's X gene, nothing else mattered. He immediately wheeled Mystique to another lab, eager to learn. Charles and Arnim quickly followed, equally curious about Mystique's X gene after hearing what Wang Yunxiao had just said. How was it? What were the results of your discussion? After watching Bolivar and the other two leave, Wang Yunxiao turned his gaze back to the women and asked with a smile. We've discussed it and agree that age isn't a factor. As long as they aren't inherently violent and ruthless, we're open to recruiting them. As for your concern about loyalty, I'll use psychological suggestion over a long period of time to ensure their loyalty. The women exchanged glances, and Selene finally spoke up. After all, psychological suggestion was her forte. Currently, the over 1,000 Special Forces personnel of Umbrella's security company, injected with a new super soldier serum, have all undergone Selene's long-term psychological suggestion to ensure their unwavering loyalty. Well, I didn't think this through thoroughly enough. I'll do as you wish. However, you should also be more careful. Mutants have a wide range of abilities, and some might be able to resist psychological suggestion. Hearing this, Wang Yunxiao was slightly startled. He frankly admitted his own inconsiderateness, while also reminding the women to be more cautious. Do you even need to tell me that? Emma rolled her eyes at Wang Yunxiao. Needless to say, she must have been the one to bring this up. Look how proud she was. As for potential, as you said, a beta-class mutant is the baseline, or perhaps someone with some special abilities, Ada Wang added calmly. The women then spoke back and forth, unpacking the results of their discussion. Their considerations were incredibly thorough, as if Wang Yunxiao didn't need to worry about anything. In short, leave this matter to me. You sisters will help me, so you don't have to worry about it, Emma concluded bluntly. No problem, Wang Yunxiao readily agreed without the slightest hesitation. Over the years, he'd developed a lazy personality. It couldn't be helped, because the women were also capable. Then, under Emma's guidance, Wang Yunxiao carefully stored the brainwave amplifier in his personal storage, preparing to take it back to the manor and place it in the newly built underground chamber. It would be more secluded and safer there. Thanks to Ji and Zhang Zhang for the guaranteed monthly pass. 3 updates today. Please bookmark, subscribe, recommend, and vote. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.